Chapter 3601. Yiqing Luo raised her wrist. Her 5 fingers spread open and covered her eyes. Her rosy red lips curled into a shallow arc. Ah Sheng, don't miss the chance to be with your beloved. Zishi took the initiative to take the first step. If you have the same feelings for her, you should bring out a man's spirit and take the remaining 99 steps. Her voice sounded a little blurred. Don't wait until Zishi really leaves you, then you will regret it. Pei Sheng looked at her in a daze. Ah Luo, are you thinking of your fiancé? Yiqing Luo's smile grew wider. But her eyes were covered by her hand. He couldn't tell what expression was on her face. Pei Sheng felt that. Ah Luo seemed to be smiling. But that bitter feeling was absolutely not a smile. What happened to Ah Luo in the array to suddenly become like this? Yes, I want to be by his side. Yiqing Luo took a deep breath, and when she removed her hand, the expression on her face had already reverted to its previous bright and flamboyant look. So you should cherish the time you have with Zishi even more. To have a lady who loves you so much to accompany you, it's your fortune. Pei Sheng lowered his eyes and looked at the person in his arms. He pursed his lips and didn't speak for a long time. Yiqing Luo didn't continue to speak, but with a smile on her face, she looked at a certain place in the forest behind her, as if she was looking at someone through the dense forest. After a long moment of silence, hurried footsteps were heard from afar. Following that were a few anxious and worried voices from afar. I heard their voices, it's coming from this side. There's a cultivator's aura in front, could it be them? Zishi. Along with the noise came the sound. Not far away, more than 10 people from the blood mercenary group were rushing over here. The moment Assistant Leader Bo saw Pei Sheng, he immediately unleashed his profound energy and rushed to Pei Sheng. Zishi. Assistant Leader Bo stretched out his hand to snatch Gu Zishi from Tsong Pei Sheng's arms. Pei Sheng hugged Gu Zishi and took a step back, avoiding Assistant Leader Bo's hands. Vice Commander Bo was stunned. He raised his head and looked at Pei Sheng anxiously. Su Qingbing coughed softly. Songyi, that's Zishi's brother. You're a man. There's a difference between men and women. Only then did Deputy Regiment Commander Bo react. He didn't insist on hugging Gu Zishi anymore. Instead, he asked Pei Sheng worriedly, what happened to Zishi? Why is she unconscious? For some unknown reason, Pei Sheng felt that the word brother from Su Qingbing was extremely piercing to his ears. Especially when Deputy Regiment Commander Bo reached out to hug Gu Zishi when he saw her, it made him even angrier. Could it be, previously when Zishi was with the bloody mercenary group in the West Cliff Mountain, were they used to hugging each other? What happened to Zishi? Say something. Seeing that Pei Sheng did not speak for a long time, Vice Commander Bo was extremely anxious. Just as Vice Commander Bo was about to lose control of his emotions and was about to shake Pei Sheng, Yiqing Luo raised her hand and blocked Vice Commander Bo's hand. Lower your voice. Zishi's soul is injured. Any shock will cause her soul to leave her body. Vice Commander Bo's expression changed as he became even more anxious and uneasy. What on earth is going on? Will Zishi be alright? Chapter 3602. Vice Leader Bo nodded repeatedly. Right. Go to Blood Mercenary Group's base. The mercenary group has the best doctors. They will definitely be able to take good care of Zishi. Saying that, he went forward and stretched out his arms towards Pei Sheng. Boss Pei, leave Zishi to us. Pei Sheng's expression was gloomy as he lowered his eyes, hiding the haze on his face. I won't trouble you, I will take good care of her. Boss Pei, we are very clear about the situation at the Treasure Exchange Hall. Based on your current conditions, you will not be able to take good care of her. Vice Captain Bo explained, Zishi is a member of our bloody mercenary group. We will definitely give her the best conditions. Pei Sheng's body suddenly stiffened, as though his own fig leaf had been shamed by the enemy. He slowly raised his head. His brows were filled with a blank and uneasiness. He stared at Vice Leader Bo in a daze. In his mind, that sentence of Vice Leader Bo kept replaying on the screen. Based on your current conditions, you will not be able to take good care of her. Based on your current conditions, you will not be able to take good care of her. He couldn't take care of Gu Zishi? He couldn't even take care of the Treasure Exchange. What right did he have to take care of Gu Zishi? The current Gu Zishi. Her soul was damaged and her condition was not very good. He couldn't give Gu Zishi the best care. Looking at Vice Leader Bo's outstretched hand. Little by little, Pei Sheng carefully moved the person in his arms towards Vice Regiment Commander Bo. Seeing this scene, Yiqing Luo couldn't help but burst out with vulgarities. Motherf***her. This lad, had he thrown all the chicken soup that she had fed him to the back of his head? She painstakingly said a bunch of things. He didn't listen to her at all? Just like that, he sent his own woman into another man's hands? Couldn't he have a little bit of a man's confidence? Yiqing Luo had a feeling of resentment towards him for failing to meet her expectations. Just as Pei Xing was about to send her into Vice Leader Bo's arms, she strode forward and raised her hand, moving Gu Zixi head back into Pei Xing's arms. After that, she raised her head and smiled at Vice Leader Bo, speaking in a serious tone. I understand Zixi's condition the best. Leave Zixi in the treasure exchange, I will take care of her. Vice Commander Bo's hand froze. His brows creased as he looked at Yiqing Luo, about to rebut. Su Qingbing's voice interrupted Vice Captain Bo's words. Then we'll do as Miss D says and escort Zixi back to the treasure-gathering hall. Commander. Vice Commander Bo's face darkened. Su Qingbing looked at him with an unquestionable gaze. Miss D risked her life to save Zixi. You are indeed the person who understands Zixi's situation the best. With Miss D's relationship with Zixi, Miss D will definitely take good care of Zixi. Vice Guild Leader Bo wanted to say something, but after seeing the look in Su Qingbing's eyes, he swallowed the words that were stuck in his throat. Yiqing Luo glanced sideways at Pei Xing, who was still standing there in a daze. He didn't know if he should carry Gu Zixi back into his arms or continue to move into Vice Commander Bo's arms. Yiqing Luo helplessly patted his shoulder. Carry Zixi properly, let's leave West Cliff Mountain first. Pei Xing came back to his senses and immediately tightened his grip on the person in his arms. The group walked towards the Bloody Mercenary Group. The mercenaries from Bloody Mercenary Group walked in front. Pei Xing carried Gu Zixi and followed closely behind. As for Yiqing Luo, she was walking behind Pei Xing. Chapter 3603. Yiqing Luo tilted her head and took a look at Su Qingbing. I'm just a rogue wandering around without a fixed residence. For a noble like Leader Su, it's normal that you haven't seen me before. Su Qingbing's beautiful eyes squinted slightly as she scrutinized Yiqing Luo. Seeing the young lady's calm expression, it didn't look like she was lying. Then she changed the topic. Does Miss D intend to find a place to settle down? Yiqing Luo raised her brows as she laughed out. From what Leader Su means, you're hinting me if I should join the Blood Mercenary Group? The Blood Mercenary Group admires powerful people. Su Qingbing didn't deny it. Miss D has such ability. If you join the mercenary group, you'll definitely have some achievements. Leader Su thinks too highly of me. Yiqing Luo stretched her body. Speaking of which, my profound grade can't even be compared to your Blood Mercenary Group. Moreover, I'm used to freedom and can't stand the restrictions of the mercenary group. Su Qingbing laughed lightly. It's not that I've overestimated you, but you indeed have the ability to make me overestimate you. She paused and smiled again. But since Miss D has no intention to join the Blood Mercenary Group, I won't force you. Yiqing Luo shrugged her shoulders with a lazy look. Silence fell between the two of them again. And the few mercenaries around them looked at Yiqing Luo's expression, which wasn't very good. Vice Leader Bo's expression also turned ugly. In this way, they maintained this strange atmosphere as they met up with the Blood Mercenary Group's main force. The group of people left the West Cliff Mountain in a grandiose manner, as they were worried that other accidents might happen and disturb Gu Zixi. The group's speed was extremely fast. They had just reached the entrance of the West Cliff Mountain. A white silhouette dashed towards them at lightning speed. The Blood Mercenary Group's members immediately guarded Yiqing Luo and the others with vigilance as they gripped their weapons tightly. When they saw the person clearly, Yiqing Luo waved her hand. This is the helper I found, but he seems to be late. The person who dashed over was none other than Old Lai. Old Lai's face was filled with anxiety as he saw numerous people trying to block his footsteps. His profound chi exploded as he was about to slap this group of people to death. However, he was stopped by a clear voice. Old Lai, stop. Lao Lai's body stiffened. He wriggled for a long time before withdrawing his hand. He worriedly sized up Yiqing Luo from top to bottom, and on seeing that Yiqing Luo had no signs of injury, he heaved a sigh of relief. He raised his hand and directly pushed aside the group members who had gathered around him as he strode towards Yiqing Luo. The members looked at Lao Lai with fear in their eyes. They gripped their weapons tightly and stared at Lao Lai stiffly. He was vigilant, but he didn't dare to act rashly. Just like that, he watched Old Lai striding towards Yiqing Luo. Why are you only here now? Yiqing Luo looked at Old Lai's sweaty face as she asked. Old Lai's face immediately darkened. Flustered and exasperated, he said, I was stopped by the city lord of Without Embroiling City. City Lord Lu? What's going on? Yi Qing Luo frowned. Old Lai angrily said, I was sitting in the treasure-gathering hall when that city lord brought a large group of people with him. He said that he had received a tip-off that the treasure-gathering hall had secretly accepted the help of the Qiao family and our Hell Palace to smuggle treasures that could be sold at a high price in the auction. They insisted on searching the entire treasure-gathering hall. When Yi Qing Luo heard that, her expression congealed. You allowed them to search. Chapter 3604. Yi Qing Luo looked at Old Lai suspiciously. Didn't you do it? Based on Old Lai's character, City Lord Lu came to create a ruckus. How could he possibly tolerate it? Old Lai's face sunk. I really wanted to do it. But that city lord said that if I don't cooperate with the investigation, it means I have a guilty conscience. If I were to kill someone, that would be the evidence and this debt would be placed on the treasure gathering and Pei-Shing that fellow. Speaking of this, Old Lai's face turned even darker. You want to help that fellow to stir up the treasure gathering, so I can only swallow this anger and let them investigate. Then did they find anything? Pei-Shing asked with an ugly expression on his face when he heard Old Lai's words. If City Lord Lu wanted to destroy the treasure gathering, while they were investigating they would do something. The treasure gathering was going to be maligned to death. With me around, what tricks do they dare to do? Old Lai snorted coldly. Of course they didn't find anything. Didn't find anything? After that? Yi Qing Luo's slender brows creased slightly. After that, they left. Old Lai scratched his head. Yi Qing Luo raised her hand slightly and her slender fingers stroked her chin as she squinted her eyes. Which means they left directly after the investigation? Then eldest young Master Qiao told you that I went to West Cliff Mountain and you rushed over? Old Lai replied, That's right, why did you come out so quickly? At least wait for me to save your life. Yi Qing Luo? After saving her. Did that mean that the Hell Palace owed her a favor, had been repaid? Yi Qing Luo looked at Pei-Shing's direction and said, Let's return to the treasure gathering first and settle Zishi down before we discuss this matter. Actually, Yi Qing Luo had already guessed the reason behind City Lord Lu's actions. Things couldn't be so coincidental. Gu Zishi was sent flying into the soul-devouring formation by the magical beast guarding the medicinal herbs because of picking the medicinal herbs. Blood Mercenary Group then went to the medical hall to seek help from Gu Zishi. She entered West Cliff Mountain and entered the soul-devouring formation. When Old Lai wanted to help, he was stopped by City Lord Lu. This was obviously to stop Old Lai. He wanted to delay time and trap her in the soul-devouring formation. Who were the black-clothed men that Xiao Yulu mentioned? Did he deliberately plan to deal with her? Miss D, since you've saved Zishi today, the bloody mercenaries owe you a favor. If there's anything you need help with, feel free to ask, Su Qingbing said. Yi Qing Luo smiled at her. Zishi is my friend and the person consciousness Sheng cares about the most. Me saving Zishi has nothing to do with the bloody mercenary group. Su Qingbing's smile froze. Yi Qing Luo nodded politely at her. Instead, I should thank Blood for taking care of Zishi. We'll bring Zishi away first. Let's meet again if fate wills it. With that, he, Pei-Shing, Old Lai, and the others walked past the bloody mercenary group members and left. The mercenaries stared blankly at the three of them as they left, their hearts still beating wildly. Until Yi Qing Luo and the other two silhouettes completely disappeared before their eyes. Deputy Guild Leader Bo gulped down a mouthful of saliva. Guild Leader, if I'm not mistaken, that old man is someone from the Underworld Palace, right? Su Qingbing nodded with an unfathomable expression. The mercenaries by the side were shocked. What's the background of that Di Luo? Even the people from the Underworld Palace are so respectful towards her? Could she be an expert who came down from the upper realm to travel? Chapter 3605. Vice Regiment Commander Bo was taken aback. You mean it's not intense? You mean Di Luo's profound rank hasn't even crossed the sage level? Su Qingbing nodded. Vice Leader Bo was shocked. Leader, don't joke with us. How does her arrogance look like someone who hasn't even reached the sage level? Su Qingbing pondered for a while. I'm also very curious as to where her confidence comes from. But now, I have a rough idea. What do you know? Vice Leader Bo asked in confusion. Su Qingbing curled her lips. If she's really just an ordinary person, she definitely wouldn't be able to cultivate such a domineering aura. To be honest, standing in front of her, even I feel inferior. Vice Leader Bo was dumbfounded. The surrounding mercenaries were also dumbfounded. This was the first time they heard their leader praise someone like that. Plus, she can make those lunatics from the Underworld Palace bow down to her. That's enough to prove her strength. Su Qingbing continued. Then, with a smile on her face, she asked, if I were to personally go to the Underworld Palace and ask their seniors for help, what sort of reaction do you think the Underworld Palace would have? The mercenaries looked at each other, not daring to speak. In the end, it was Vice Leader Bo who asked softly, do you want to hear the truth or a lie? Su Qingbing said, the truth. Vice Leader Bo said, the truth is? I think that the people from the Underworld Palace are already giving face to bloody mercenaries by allowing us to get close to them. The mercenaries all nodded in unison. Those lunatics from the Underworld Palace. They didn't dare to provoke them at all. Not to mention, talking to the people from the Underworld Palace. So, no matter what Di Luo's profound rank is, she's still someone we can't underestimate. If we can become friends, that would be for the best. A glint flashed in Su Qingbing's eyes. It should be easy to be friends with someone like that. Vice Leader Bo thought of something and his face darkened. She doesn't seem to want Zishi to interact with us. You've made it so obvious that she's on Pei Sheng's side. Naturally, she wouldn't want you to be too close to Zishi. Su Qingbing glanced at her vice-captain. I say you should get rid of your feelings for Zishi as soon as possible. You should know better than anyone else who Zishi is thinking about. Deputy Commander Bo's face stiffened, and he looked unwilling. I know, but I don't think Pei Sheng can bring happiness to Zishi. Zishi will understand this one day. Su Qingbing did not continue trying to persuade him. You can do whatever you want. However, if it involves the tacit understanding of the team, as the guild leader, I will not be so lenient. Treasures Exchange Hall. Yiqing Luo and the others had just arrived at the Treasures Exchange Hall when they saw Qiao Yinyan walking back and forth at the entrance of the Treasures Exchange Hall. The minute he saw Yiqing Luo and the rest, he immediately went up to them. Ah Luo, are you all right? Yiqing Luo asked Pei Sheng to send Gu Zishi into the room first as she turned around to look at Qiao Yinyan. No matter, did anything happen after the treasure gathering? No. Qiao Yinyan worriedly sized up Yiqing Luo from head to toe to ascertain that she was indeed in good spirits before he opened his mouth. What happened at the West Cliff Mountain? Why would the bloody mercenary group find you? Chapter 3606. Hearing Qiao Yinyan's question. She hesitated for a moment, then suddenly looked at Qiao Yinyan with a serious expression. If I said that everything that happened in the West Cliff Mountain was planned by your younger sister, the Empyrean Fairy, and someone else, would you believe me? Qiao Yinyan replied without hesitation, yes. Such decisiveness made Yiqing Luo feel a little embarrassed. She pursed her lips and decided to tell the truth. Something happened in West Cliff Mountain. Mysterious Fairy was betrayed by the person behind her. She paused and suddenly raised her charming eyes to stare at him. I know that my words are somewhat of an excuse, so I won't explain too much. After all, the death of the Empyrean Fairy is indeed related to me. Qiao Yinyan's expression suddenly froze. His pupils slightly shrunk. You mean Princess Yulu Shi? Yiqing Luo nodded, yes. Qiao Yinyan stiffened and lowered his head. After a long while, he spoke in a low voice, I will tell father about this matter. You don't have to feel too guilty. She has such an ending, it's all her own fault. As for Master Qiao, I will bear all the responsibility. Yiqing Luo could see the complex emotions on Qiao Yinyan's face. She expressed her understanding. After all, no matter how much Qiao Yinyan disliked Qiao Yulu, she was his biological sister. His biological sister died because of her. No matter how dissatisfied he was with Qiao Yulu, he could no longer use his previous attitude to face Yiqing Luo. I will go back to Qiao family first. I will settle this matter. Qiao Yinyan looked at her with a heavy tone. Without waiting for Yiqing Luo to say anything, Qiao Yinyan turned around and left. Yiqing Luo looked at his departing figure and sighed. You killed without embroiling City's mysterious fairy? Old Lai's voice came from behind. Yiqing Luo turned back. She made use of Zishi to lure me into the Spirit Devourer array, preparing to kill me in the Spirit Devourer array, but she was swallowed by the Spirit Devourer array. Spirit Devourer array? The Spirit Devourer array? Old Lai's eyes widened in surprise. This array is amazing. Even the Spirit Devourer array has been awakened. Yiqing Luo, what exactly is your focus? Lao Lai clicked his tongue. The key is that the formation has formed a formation spirit, but you still managed to break the formation with Gu Zishi alive. You really deserve to be the Overlord's woman. Yiqing Luo's eyelashes trembled violently. The expression on her face instantly became downcast. Her drooping eyes were covered with a thin layer of mist. Even if he couldn't see it clearly, Lao Lai also felt it. Yiqing Luo seemed like she was going to cry? This she-devil could actually cry? Lao Lai was both shocked and surprised. He was just about to ask her. But he saw Yiqing Luo turning around and walking towards the inner hall. I'm a little tired. I'll go in and rest first. You continue to look around, lest City Lord Lu make use of this period of time to do something. Lao Lai heard the hoarseness and bitterness in the girl's voice. He opened his mouth wanting to stop the girl. But when he saw the girl's extreme loneliness, he felt as if he was shrouded in a thick layer of pain. He couldn't bring himself to say what he wanted to say. What was going on? Did he say something wrong? Why did she suddenly seem to have changed into another person? Yiqing Luo lowered her head and returned to Gu Zixi room. Pei Xing carried Gu Zixi to his room. The soundproofing here wasn't very good. Chapter 3607. She lowered her eyes and suddenly burst out laughing. She didn't know when the two people next door would come to fruition. Based on Pei Xing's character, lukewarm, Gu Zixi would have to force him to sleep with her. Only then would there be a possibility of further development. She fell onto the bed and opened her eyes, looking at the dilapidated roof. But even if they didn't progress further, to be able to stay by her lover's side, to be able to look at her lover like this, that was already the most blissful thing. Last, thinking of the Overlord again? Old Man Song's deliberately gentle voice rang in her mind. Yiqing Luo's pink lips pursed slightly. He will be fine, right? Old Man Song sighed. Even if it's for you, he won't let anything happen to himself. Yiqing Luo raised her hand and covered her eyes. Her mind was filled with the man's peerlessly handsome face, using his shimmering peach blossom eyes to look at her with a gaze filled with love and adoration. Her heart suddenly tightened and felt a dull pain. Her thoughts returned to earlier. Spirit-devouring array. After the array core spirit's energy returned to its original form, she used all her energy to destroy those black light balls. At the same time, just when the black light balls were at their wits' end, she gulped one by one, swallowing all of those black light balls into its stomach. The mountains collapsed and the ground cracked as the earth shook. The entire array was completely destroyed. Everything in the surroundings kept on exploding. Yiqing Luo looked towards DMO Xian's direction amidst the turbulence, rejoicing that she had left Qi by DMO Xian's side right from the start. Qi carried DMO Xian on its back as they avoided wave after wave of energy that shook the array. Seeing this, Yiqing Luo heaved a sigh of relief as she focused on resisting against the array's energy, until Shiju had swallowed all the black light balls. The entire empty space started to dissipate slowly, bit by bit. West Cliff Mountain's lush forest environment was restored. This also meant that the array was completely broken. As Shiju had swallowed too many array mediums, it needed to absorb those energies, so it returned to the pet space to sleep. Yiqing Luo slowly descended from the sky. She walked quickly towards DMO Xian's direction. But when she took a step forward, Lin Sanjiu was stunned. Suddenly he felt a burning sensation in his chest. Shortly after, the qi in his limbs and bones began to run rampant in all directions. The dark force, which had been repeatedly compressed, suddenly exploded. Yiqing Luo instantly half-squatted on the ground in pain as her face became distorted. Her aura became more and more restless. The Xian qi in his body surged and clamored, as if he was venting something. Yiqing Luo clenched her teeth and maintained her consciousness. Old Man Song, what's going on? Old Man Song also panicked. Oh no, the power sealed in your body is about to burst out. The dark force that venerable sovereign transferred to you can't suppress the restless power any longer. This power had been sealed within the divine phoenix profound heart jade for a very long time. Now they were all released. He couldn't help but want Yiqing Luo's body to accept this surge of energy. Yiqing Luo frowned and raised her hand to press in the direction of her profound jade heart. Then what if I break through to the profound grade now? It's too risky. Old Man Song was extremely anxious. If you can break through successfully, that would be the best. But if you fail, I'm worried that you will be swallowed by this surge of energy. Yiqing Luo was also very clear about this outcome. Earlier, under the protection of DMO Xian's profound energy. Chapter 3608. Now just based on her own strength. If she wanted to integrate this energy and break through to the profound grade. She was afraid. Yiqing Luo pursed her lips tightly as she felt a little conflicted. If it was based on her own thoughts, she naturally wanted to give it a try. She had 50% confidence that she could absorb all this energy. She wanted to break through herself and raise her ability. After coming to the earth boundary, Yiqing Luo deeply felt the difference between her profound grade and others. If she didn't have her past life's training as a hidden family's young matriarch, if she didn't have the help of sacred beasts, divine weapons and so on, she would definitely not be able to face Qiao Yulu confidently. Moreover, she had to rely on Diamo Xian to break this spirit-devouring array. If one day, she had nothing, if Diamo Xian had no way to protect her in time, what would become of her? Yiqing Luo couldn't think about that ending. She had never thought of using any shortcuts to become strong. What she wanted was to raise her own strength, to make herself really strong. Strong enough to rely on herself to face any difficulties and setbacks. But, now, the decision she made was not only related to her personally. She had to consider Diamo Xian's thoughts. 50% success rate. This risk was simply too huge. Diamo Xian would not allow her to take such a risk, just like how she couldn't bear for anything to happen to Diamo Xian. She couldn't bear the remaining 50% result. Just as her heart was in a dilemma, she suddenly heard a gentle and familiar voice, "Lil Luo, you can do it, I believe in you." Yiqing Luo was stunned as she looked towards the direction of the voice. She saw Diamo Xian was brought to her side by Chi. The man's purple robe billowed like rolling clouds, covered in Chi-Chi's white fur. He leaned on Chi-Chi's back as his slightly pale thin lips curled up slightly, outlining a faint smile. "Lil Luo, go ahead and do it, I'm always here." The moment his words landed, the man suddenly raised his hand, his broad palm was shrouded in a layer of faint profound glow. That profound glow made Yiqing Luo's eyes heated up. Her body stiffened as she realized what Diamo Xian wanted to do. "Xian, no. Your body is already very weak now." Yiqing Luo anxiously tried to stop him. However, even if the man was under the influence of the soul-devouring formation, his speed was still above hers. Not waiting for Yiqing Luo to get up to stop him, Diamo Xian's palm had already held onto Yiqing Luo's little hand. His large and broad palm firmly wrapped around her small hand. A burst of dense spiritual qi instantly gushed into Yiqing Luo's body from their intersecting palms. Yiqing Luo instantly felt waves after waves of restless profound qi in her body, as though it had its own consciousness, as it instantly surged towards the profound energy which Diamo Xian had instilled. Moreover, this dark force was originally disorderly in the body, and it was running around wantonly. At this moment, everything became orderly. "Little girl, Dizun is helping you integrate these dark forces to make a breakthrough. You should quickly stabilize your mind and absorb the energy in your body." Old Man Tsang reminded her happily. "He exhausted his own energy to help me, does it affect him in any way?" Yiqing Luo's entire body was trembling slightly because of the profound energy in her body. Diamo Xian's hands were intertwined with hers and she could not move at all, as though she was glued to his palms. Chapter 3609. Yiqing Luo's eyes reddened. She clenched her teeth and looked at Diamo Xian, who was smiling at her. The man was still the same as before, with a doting and tender gaze. It made her heart ache a little. She took a deep breath and tried hard to calm her mind as she sat cross-legged. With Diamo Xian's help, she absorbed all the profound energy in her body cleanly. Boom! Yiqing Luo's body gave out a loud explosion. Her delicate body shook. The lingering heaven and earth spiritual qi instantly became pure. Endless profound energy, wave after wave, lingered around Yiqing Luo and kept surging. Her breathing was long and slow. Then there was a slight tremble. The dazzling profound light covered the surrounding 100 miles of dense forest in a split second. Breakthrough, Sage Profound Level. Promotion, Sage Profound First Grade. When all the heaven and earth spiritual qi slowly settled down, Yiqing Luo's profound grade stopped at the Sage Profound First Grade peak stage. Yiqing Luo remembered that Old Man Tsang had specially told her before. The profound grade after the Sage Profound was divided into 15 grades. Each grade was divided into 3 stages: initial, intermediate and peak stage. Each stage was equivalent to an advancement in the previous stage. Yiqing Luo slowly opened her eyes and clenched her fingers, feeling the flow of energy in her body. Her lips curled up as she looked at Diamo Xian joyfully. Xian, I succeeded. I succeeded. But the moment she raised her head, the smile on the young girl's face froze on her face. The man who clung to her hand and forcefully poured his energy into her so that she could break through, had unknowingly let go of her hand. That incomparably tall figure, in her eyes, turned into a thin mist, a transparent figure that would dissipate with the wind at any time. Yiqing Luo's eyes suddenly turned red. Tears fell uncontrollably from the bottom of her eyes. Her heart and throat felt as if something was pressing down hard, making her unable to breathe. It was as if something was eroding her body and mind, making her feel as if she was in an ice-cold icehouse in the winter of December. The bone-chilling coldness made her body extremely stiff. Xian, her hoarse voice called out Dmo Xian's name. Dmo Xian's figure was faintly discernible, as though he would disappear any time as he leaned lazily on Chi-Chi's back. Hearing the girl's voice, the corners of his mouth still held a gentle and loving smile, as though he was happy for Yiqing Luo's breakthrough. Xian. Yiqing Luo trembled all over as she stretched out her hand towards Dmo Xian, trying to touch him. However, she saw the man slowly shaking his head at her. His smile was still so gentle. It was so gentle that it made one's heart ache. Her hand froze in midair. In her ears, she seemed to hear the man's low and gentle voice saying two words, "Wait for me." This voice was so light that it seemed to be scattered by the wind. Yiqing Luo realized something as her pupils contracted fiercely. Xian. Xian. She anxiously wanted to rush forward and hug the man. However, her body was in the air. The man who smiled gently at her gradually disappeared into thin air. She called out Dmo Xian's name several times, but she didn't get any response. Even the sandalwood scent in the air also dissipated along with the breeze, as though he had never appeared. Chapter 36:10. Yiqing Luo laid on Chi-Chi's back in a daze, expressionless and somewhat dazed. Old man Song sighed. "The overlord asked you to wait for him, which means he will be fine." Yiqing Luo still didn't speak. Even her eyes had become somewhat empty. Old man Song was worried but didn't know how to comfort her. "Girl? Don't think too much. I guarantee with my reputation that the overlord will be fine. After a few days of rest, he will come to Without Embroiling City to find you. Think about it, he is the overlord, someone that even the upper realm dare not provoke. Now it is just a soul devourer formation which slightly consumes some energy, but not enough to hurt him." "Girl? Girl?" Old man Song nagged, racking his brains to appease her. But the girl didn't move from the beginning to the end. That pair of eyes which had always been full of vigor and charm seemed to have lost all her soul. She didn't listen to his words at all. Old man Song glanced at her, sighed helplessly and didn't speak any more. In fact, Old man Song also knew in his heart. What was the hurdle in Yiqing Luo's heart? She also knew that Dmo Xian would definitely come to Without Embroiling City to find her. Nothing would happen. But because of her, it caused Dmo Xian, such an unrestrained man, to become so embarrassed. And because of her, he was injured. His soul suffered heavy damage. And when his soul was injured, because he cared about her thoughts, because he understood what she was thinking, and once again consumed his energy, just to let her break through successfully. Especially looking at the man who was so strong that no one in the world could defeat, disappear weakly in front of her eyes. The cause of all this was because of her. Yiqing Luo's heart was more uncomfortable and painful than anyone else, carrying a heart full of guilt and self-blame. Yiqing Luo now couldn't walk out of it. Old man Song sighed. His girl had always been a strong child. At this time she could only rely on herself to figure it out. Chi-Chi also knew that its master was upset. He carefully curled up on the ground and curled up his body, encircling Yiqing Luo in his fur, quietly accompanying her. Old man Song also showed his physical body, guarding beside Yiqing Luo. Time passed slowly. About half an hour later, the motionless girl's fingers suddenly moved. His eyes also blinked. Slowly he sat up straight in Chi-Chi's arms. Hearing the noise, Old man Song immediately looked over. "Lass, are you all right?" The young girl's expression had already returned to its previous bright and arrogant state. Her charming eyes were also tainted with her own quick-wittedness. She smiled at Old man Song. "We have to find Zixi and Xing first. I don't know if their souls have been affected." After saying that, he walked towards the dense forest. His voice was calm. His smile was impeccable. Just like earlier, his soul seemed to have disappeared along with Dmo Xian, and the appearance of disappearing had never existed. Later the girl found Gu Zixi and Pei Sheng. He then met up with the bloody mercenary group. Then he returned to treasure gathering. Wait a minute, what happened next? The young girl wore a smile on her face and there was nothing unusual in her emotions. Until now, when the girl was alone in the room. Only then did Old man Song see the pain that was suppressed in the depths of the young girl's heart. It wasn't that she wasn't sad. It wasn't that Dmo Xian was hurt because of her, but she couldn't stay by his side. Chapter 36:11. Love was not the only thing in her life. There were still many things waiting for her to solve. She could only do what was in front of her. Then she would have the chance to keep her promise with Dmo Xian. Wait for him, wait for him, wait for him. Old man Sung quietly looked at the young lady who was lying on the bed, covering her eyes with her hands. He sighed secretly in his heart. This girl, no matter how strong she was still a lady after all. Her heart was soft after all. He also knew that at this time what this girl needed was not comfort, but to accompany her quietly. Don't mention anything about the overlord. Yiqing Luo lay like this for the whole night. The next day when she pushed open the door, she had already changed back to the previous Yiqing Luo. Just as she walked out of the door next door was coincidentally pushed open. Pei Xing walked out with an exhausted look. Seeing Yiqing Luo, he smiled. Morning. Morning. Yiqing Luo looked at the basin in Pei Xing's hands. How is Zishi? Still unconscious, not awake. Pei Xing lowered his eyes. Luo, when do you think little sister will wake up? It's related to the soul, it can be big or small, she needs to rest for a period of time. Yiqing Luo took out a prescription. Go get the medicine and boil it for Zishi. She walked towards the front hall and after a few steps she said, if you don't have the crystal stones, get it from old Lai first. After the business picks up, then return it to him. Pei Xing's face turned slightly red. He indeed had no money. Ask the Hell Palace's senior. This is not good, right? Or you want to ask the Blood Red? Yiqing Luo raised her brows and looked at him. That's not a bad idea. If the Blood Red knows that this medicine is for Zishi, it will definitely not use a single crystal stone. Pei Xing, he had better borrow it from old Lai. Yiqing Luo walked into the hall. Then he saw old Lai, who was sitting on the main seat looking sloppy. And Xiao Yinyan was standing at the entrance pacing back and forth. Hearing footsteps, Xiao Yinyan looked up. Seeing Yiqing Luo, he quickly walked up and frowned. Luo, I have something to tell you. Xiao Yinyan's handsome face was filled with anxiety. Yiqing Luo asked, what is it? Xiao Yinyan's expression was grave as he asked, are you sure that Princess Yulu was devoured by the soul-devouring spell formation? Yiqing Luo nodded her head. I saw with my own eyes the evil qi of the array core swallowing her. What happened? Xiao Yinyan's expression was somewhat unsightly. Last night when I returned to the Qiao family I planned to tell father about this, but guess what I saw? Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes. You saw? Mysterious maiden? Yes. Xiao Yinyan held Yiqing Luo's shoulders with both hands. Due to his agitated emotions, his silvery hair stuck to his face. Princess Yulu. In her room I heard from the servants that today she had not left the Qiao residence. Did you see her? Yiqing Luo looked down at Xiao Yinyan's hand on her shoulder and frowned slightly. Xiao Yinyan realized that something was wrong. He quickly let go and took a few steps back apologetically. I saw her. It was indeed her. She was lying on the bed, but she covered her face with a black veil and didn't let me and father see it. Black veil? Covered her face? This point made Yiqing Luo puzzled. Xiao Yinyan used a white veil to cover her face. Because the white veil was faintly discernible, this half-covered half was the most attractive. Chapter 36:12. If you didn't see her face, how can you be sure that she is mysterious fairy? Yiqing Luo raised a doubt. That's what I guessed too. Xiao Yinyan frowned slightly. I feel that if Princess Yulu was really devoured at the West Cliff Mountain, then the Princess Yulu at home must be fake. Even if she has the same face, it might be a disguise. Speaking of this, Xiao Yinyan's voice paused for a moment. Following that he continued, but the one at home. I can be sure that she is the real Princess Yulu. Which means, the mysterious fairy I met in the spirit-devouring formation is fake? Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes as her slender fingers caressed her chin. Xiao Yinyan's face was filled with puzzlement and doubt. Although Princess Yulu had left the Qiao family at a young age to head to Linglong Palace in order to become Mysterious Fairy's candidate. But she is after all my twin sister from the same mother. Towards her, I understand her very well, so I can be sure that she is Princess Yulu. As for the person you met at the West Cliff Mountain, I can't be sure if it's real or fake. He paused for a moment and continued, moreover, if the person you met is fake Princess Yulu, then what is the motive of the person who set up the formation behind you? Could it be that he wants to stir up the enmity between you and Princess Yulu? To make you hate the Qiao family? Yiqing Luo pursed her lips as her slender fingers pressed on her veil and pressed on her pink lips. No. That person yesterday, his attitude and feeling towards me is very similar to Mysterious Fairy. It can't be fake. Especially later on. In order to save his life. All kinds of begging looks. She really resembled Xiao Yulu's character. No, not right. Wait a minute. That Xiao Yulu in the spirit-devouring formation yesterday. She didn't have the wounds that she left on him the day before yesterday. And her ability had increased greatly. Although she explained later on that it was because a group of black-robed men gave her a pill to raise her profound grade. However, who knew if what she said was true or not? Thinking of this, Yiqing Luo suddenly raised her head and looked at Qiao Yinyan seriously. I want to make a trip to your Qiao residence to meet Mysterious Fairy personally to confirm. Qiao Yinyan nodded without hesitation. All right, no problem. The two of them didn't waste any time. After bidding farewell to Pei Sheng, they didn't even eat breakfast and directly left Treasure Gathering Hall. Lao Lai immediately caught up. I'm going too. With your father around, those bastards from the Qiao family will definitely be docile. Qiao Yinyan. Grandson of a bitch? If they wanted to scold the Qiao family, couldn't they do it when he wasn't around? Yiqing Luo. She wasn't going to the Qiao residence to find trouble, wasn't bringing Old Lai to wreck the place. Yiqing Luo decisively rejected Old Lai and strongly requested Old Lai to stay and guard the treasure gathering. In the end, he used the excuse of, who knows if City Lord Lu will go to the treasure gathering hall again and cause trouble, to successfully make Old Lai stay. Qiao Mansion. Yiqing Luo's arrival wasn't like what Yiqing Luo had imagined, meeting with Patriarch Qiao's objection. On the contrary, Patriarch Qiao heard that she and Qiao Yinyan had arrived at the manor. He rushed over from the meeting hall. It was said that there were many stewards from various places standing in the meeting hall. Yiqing Luo just entered the Qiao residence. Patriarch Qiao came up to them. His two eyes darted back and forth between Yiqing Luo and Qiao Yinyan. Chapter 36-13. Qiao Yinyan's handsome face instantly flushed with embarrassment. Father, Luo only came to the residence. I understand. I've been through it, of course I understand. Patriarch Qiao patted his son's shoulder and smiled at Yiqing Luo. Miss D, let's go to the main hall and have a good chat. Yiqing Luo. Indeed, Patriarch Qiao had misunderstood the relationship between her and Qiao Yinyan. But Qiao Yinyan's ambiguous attitude towards her was indeed very easy to misunderstand. Even she had misunderstood that Qiao Yinyan had some other thoughts towards her. Seeing Qiao Yinyan's awkward expression, wanting to explain but was interrupted by Patriarch Qiao in various ways. Yiqing Luo sighed. She could tell that Patriarch Qiao valued his son or daughter very much. Patriarch Qiao definitely knew what Qiao Yinyan wanted to say, but intentionally interrupted repeatedly. Just to let this misunderstanding continue. Who knows, this misunderstanding might become real as it continues to spread. But Yiqing Luo expressed that no matter how this misunderstanding continued, it would not become true. Rather than letting the elders be filled with hope. Why not make things clear right from the start? She coughed lightly and interrupted Patriarch Qiao's enthusiasm. Thank you, Patriarch Qiao, for your concern. I'm here on an important matter, so I won't disturb Patriarch Qiao to accompany me personally. Patriarch Qiao was first stunned and then laughed. That's true, you youngsters. Only like two people. Father, we... Qiao Yinyan wanted to explain. Patriarch Qiao stared at his son. Did you hear that? Young ladies like two people to interact in private. In future when you're free, spend more time with Miss D. It's best if it's two people in private. As he said that, he intentionally emphasized on the words two people, in private. Qiao Yinyan. His heart was so tired, there was no way to communicate properly with his father. It was Yiqing Luo who revealed a hesitant expression on her face as she said helplessly, Yinyan and I are just ordinary friends. If Yinyan keeps accompanying me privately, my fiancé will probably be jealous. What do you mean? This kid doesn't have a lot of things, but he has a lot of time to accompany you. Patriarch Qiao suddenly stopped speaking, as if he had just realized something. His eyes widened. Fiancé? You have a fiancé. Yiqing Luo blinked her eyes innocently and naively. Yes, Yinyan also knows about this matter, didn't he tell you? Patriarch Qiao glared at Qiao Yinyan. Then he gritted his teeth and clenched his fists. F***ck. That damned old man actually dared to lie to me. Who said she could be my daughter-in-law? Your father must tear him apart. Qiao family's head cursed as he clenched his fists. He cracked his knuckles and quickly left. Yiqing Luo. How realistic. After knowing that she had a fiancé, his attitude changed. However, just now, when Patriarch Chow mentioned that damn old man, who was he referring to? What Patriarch Chow said seemed to be. Someone lied to him, saying that she could become Chow family's daughter-in-law? Cough. Aluo, don't mind him. My father, he's anxious to carry a grandson, so he did that. Chow Yinyan explained awkwardly. Who is the damn old man that your father was talking about? Yiqing Luo felt that this old man was someone she knew. Chapter 36:14. Yiqing Luo retracted her gaze and said, "Forget it, let's go to Mysterious Fairy's courtyard first." In order to avoid the awkwardness between the two due to Lord Qiao's disturbance, Chow Yinyan immediately brought Yiqing Luo to Chow Yulu's courtyard. Chow Yulu was indeed the second daughter of the Chow family. Coupled with her identity as Mysterious Fairy, the location of her courtyard was the best location in the entire Chow residence. The decor was luxurious and elegant, showing nobility everywhere. Yiqing Luo clicked her tongue. She had grown up in such an environment with a distinguished status and a doting father. She had never suffered any unequal treatment. It was no wonder that Chow Yulu's character was so arrogant. With Chow Yinyan leading the way, the two of them entered Chow Yulu's courtyard one after another. There were at least 10 maids walking back and forth in the courtyard. Yiqing Luo swept a glance around. She discovered that there were quite a number of cultivators with weak breaths hidden in the dark corners of the courtyard. All of their profound chi fluctuations were not weak. They should be the secret guards that the Linglong Palace had sent to Chow Yulu. After turning several corridors, they arrived at the inner courtyard. The atmosphere in the inner courtyard was much more elegant and bright than the luxurious outside. Walking straight, the two of them stopped outside the most spacious room. At the door, a maid who was dressed like a flower, and the moment she saw Chow Yinyan, her eyes lit up. "Eldest young master." That maid hurriedly went forward and looked at Chow Yinyan with eyes full of love. Towards the maid's flirting, Chow Yinyan looked straight ahead and asked faintly, "How is Princess Yulu?" "Princess Yulu just drank her medicine and is still resting." The maidservant replied in a sweet voice. "Eldest young master, you don't have to worry too much. With me taking care of her, she will definitely be fine after resting for a few days." As the maid spoke, she moved closer to Chow Yinyan. That obvious action. It was obvious that she wanted to tell Chow Yinyan, "I'm interested in you, I want to woo you." Chow Yinyan's expression was still calm, and the moment the maid leaned over, his body moved slightly to the side. The maidservant missed and stumbled, falling to the ground. Immediately, the maidservant's face was covered in tears. She stretched out her hand toward Chow Yinyan. "Eldest young master, this servant is in so much pain. Please support this servant." Chow Yinyan ignored her outstretched hand and calmly said, "Since Princess Yulu is inside, I'll bring the guest in directly." After saying that, he walked past the servant girl lying on the ground and walked to the tightly shut door. Chow Yinyan pushed open the door with a creak. After that, he said to Yiqing Luo, "Miss D, you first." After all, it was a woman's room. Chow Yinyan didn't enter the room first. He wanted to let the maidservant inform them before entering. But looking at the maidservant's expression, Chow Yinyan simply let Yiqing Luo enter first. Yiqing Luo understood Chow Yinyan's concerns and nodded as she walked straight into the room. It was only then that the maid who was lying on the ground noticed that there was someone else beside the eldest young master. The maidservant's gaze fell on Yiqing Luo, who had just stepped into the room. Suddenly, her pupils dilated and she stood up from the ground with a look of disgust and fierceness. "It's you, you slut. What do you want to do to my Princess Yulu while she is injured?" The maidservant stood in front of Yiqing Luo. Her face was full of arrogance. Yiqing Luo also saw the maidservant in front of her clearly. Chapter 36:15. Kai Dai was Chow Yulu's personal maid. Naturally, she was very clear about how much her mistress hated Yiqing Luo. How could she allow Yiqing Luo to appear in front of her mistress? Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes and glanced at Kai Dai, who had opened her arms to block her. Her pink lips slowly curled into a sneer of disdain. She looked sideways at Chow Yinyan. "Are all your Chow family's maids so fierce?" "Slut. Were you calling fierce?" Kai Dai's face changed drastically. Unwilling to lose face in front of her sweetheart, she immediately shouted out angrily. Yiqing Luo tilted her head. "I'm talking about whoever is agitated." Kai Dai's face turned livid as she pointed at Yiqing Luo. "Anyway, I will not let you near Princess Yulu." Kai Dai. Chow Yinyan frowned between his brows. exuded the prestige of a superior as he stared coldly at Kai Dai. No matter where you come from in the Qiao residence, you are only a Qiao family's maid. Humiliating this young master's friend in front of this young master, is this your etiquette as a maidservant? Kai Dai's face suddenly turned pale. Eldest young master, I just... There's no need to explain. I've seen and heard everything clearly. Qiao Yinyan waved his hand, and a powerful gust of wind swept toward Qi Nan. Kai Dai's body was thrown to the ground and crashed into the room, heavily hitting the good mahogany table. The mahogany table broke. Kai Dai cried out "Io yo yo" as she fell to the ground. What happened? Xiao Yulu's angry voice was heard from the inner room. Immediately, a slender figure walked out from the inner room. The woman's white long dress hung loosely on her body, showing off her delicate figure. Her face was covered with a black veil, completely concealing her face. Even her eyes were not revealed. Her hair was loose on her shoulders, not tied up. Obviously she had just gotten out of bed. When she saw Yiqing Luo through the black veil, Yiqing Luo clearly felt the strong hatred of the woman opposite her. Yiqing Luo frowned. Judging from his appearance, his voice, and the feeling that the person in front of her gave her, Yiqing Luo also felt that the person in front of him was Qiao Yulu. However, the woman in front of her seemed to hate her a little too much. It's you? Qiao Yulu's eyes were cold as she spat out two words through gritted teeth. Kai Dai held her sore body and hugged Qiao Yulu's foot. Princess Yulu, this cheap woman? This cheap woman is bullying this servant. You must help this servant. Yiqing Luo who got shot while lying down. It was obviously Qiao Yinyan who did it. Qiao Yulu's gaze turned cold. What? Just because this consort's big brother likes you, you brazenly came to this consort's courtyard to kill this consort? Princess Yulu, Xiao Yinyan interrupted Xiao Yulu with a frown. I was the one who attacked your maidservant. I was the one who brought Aluo here. This has nothing to do with Aluo. Xiao Yulu sneered. You've never taken me as your sister in your heart. Knowing that I'm not feeling well, you deliberately brought her in front of me. Aren't you afraid that she will kill me? Aluo is not that kind of person. Xiao Yinyan replied calmly. Xiao Yulu laughed even more sarcastically and looked at Yiqing Luo. You must be very proud of yourself, seeing that this consort's big brother disregarded his sibling relationship for you. You must be laughing in your heart. Whatever you think. Yiqing Luo's eyes were burning as she stared at Xiao Yulu's black veil. Her gaze seemed to be able to penetrate the veil. Chapter 36:16. Xiao Yulu, who was stared at by Yiqing Luo's torch-like gaze, was obviously flustered. Xiao Yulu turned her head away unnaturally, avoiding eye contact with Yiqing Luo, while speaking fiercely. What are you looking at? Do you want to laugh at me when you see me like this? Yes, it's ridiculous. Facing Xiao Yulu's anger, Yiqing Luo appeared extremely calm. She responded to Xiao Yulu's words lazily with a scornful tone. The dignified mysterious fairy of without embroiling city doesn't even dare to show her face. Isn't it ridiculous? Xiao Yulu's finger that was pointing at Yiqing Luo kept trembling. Yiqing Luo tilted her head and smiled innocently. Xiao Yulu withdrew her hand forcefully, her eyes under the black veil stared at Xiao Yinyan with hatred. Brother, I am tired and have no energy to deal with you. Please take your guest out. Xiao Yinyan took a look at Yiqing Luo. Seeing her calm expression, he shifted his gaze to Xiao Yulu. He paused as if he was weighing his words. After hesitating for a long time, he looked at Xiao Yulu and said, Princess Yulu, Miss D came to visit you personally out of concern for you. Concern for me? You are concerned about when I will die. Xiao Yulu didn't believe Xiao Yinyan's words. Yiqing Luo smiled. You're quite self-aware. Xiao Yulu's face immediately turned pale. She clenched her fists tightly and clenched her teeth until her knuckles creaked. Even through the black veil, Yiqing Luo could feel how distorted Xiao Yulu's face would be under the veil. Yiqing Luo laughed lightly and wantonly. Her slender and fair hand curled up slightly and rested on her smooth chin. She tilted her head to look at Xiao Yulu. Her lips curled up again. The smile on the corner of her mouth was like a blooming datura flower, enchanting and full of suffocating charm. Even Xiao Yulu, who was filled with hatred, when she saw this smile, his pupils involuntarily shrank a little. His heart felt as if it was being ruthlessly pressed by something. Immediately after, the young girl's enchanting voice drifted into Xiao Yulu's ears, word by word. If I'm not mistaken, the reason why the Empyrean fairy doesn't dare to show her face is because yesterday, she tried to plot against me but ended up being used instead. You were swallowed by the formation spirit, and although you were lucky enough to escape, your face was more than half destroyed by the formation spirit. She paused and chuckled. Am I right? Following Yiqing Luo's words, every single word was set out. Yiqing Luo noticed that the lady in front of her started to tremble continuously. Perhaps Xiao Yulu herself hadn't realized it yet. Her body, which was wrapped in a long white dress, was tense and trembling. This reaction, it was obvious that Yiqing Luo had hit the mark on Xiao Yulu's heart. Yiqing Luo raised her brows. Her intuition was right. The person in the soul-devouring array yesterday was Xiao Yulu. And the person he had seen in the Qiao mansion was indeed Xiao Yulu. There was no so-called real or fake Xiao Yulu. But what made Yiqing Luo curious was, what method did Xiao Yulu use to escape safely from the array core spirits devouring? Yiqing Luo examined Xiao Yulu. Xiao Yulu didn't say a word. Chapter 36:17. Xiao Yulu had been suppressing a ball of anger in her chest because of Yiqing Luo. And to hear Yiqing Luo's sarcastic words, the anger immediately surged to her head. Slut. Haven't you caused enough trouble for me? I'm going to kill you. Xiao Yulu's aura surged as she swiftly pounced towards Yiqing Luo. Xiao Yulu was obviously infuriated. This pounce was full of vigor and incomparably ferocious, filled with a chilling murderous intent. A close distance. Yiqing Luo could almost see the pair of icy cold and murderous eyes under Xiao Yulu's black veil. Raging profound qi surged out from Xiao Yulu's body. The entire room was stirred up by a hurricane. All these should be borne by you. You offended that group of black-robed men. On what basis should I bear the consequences? Xiao Yulu gritted her teeth as she bellowed, venting the anger in her heart. Di Luo, even if I'm destroyed, I want you to be buried with me. Her words were filled with murderous intent. Xiao Yulu's attack surged again. The cold and raging profound energy was like a hot knife through butter. As though she was going to perish together with someone. Xiao Yulu's words also admitted Yiqing Luo's earlier guess. Xiao Yinyan linked the conversation between the both of them and what Yiqing Luo had explained to him yesterday. He immediately understood the cause and effect. Yesterday in the spirit-devouring formation, Xiao Yulu, whom Yiqing Luo thought was dead, was indeed his second sister, the mysterious fairy of Without Embroiling City. Now, the injured Xiao Yulu lying in the Qiao residence was also Xiao Yulu. Which meant? It was indeed Xiao Yulu who had joined hands with others to harm Yiqing Luo. Looking at Xiao Yulu's murderous attack, Xiao Yinyan's brows knitted into a bundle. He raised his hand and waved his sleeve to set off the profound wave, blocking Xiao Yulu's attack as he shouted, "Are you done?" Xiao Yinyan. All of Xiao Yulu's actions were blocked. She was so angry that she shouted Xiao Yinyan's full name through gritted teeth. It's her. She almost killed me. It was her, who nearly caused you to lose your only biological sister in this world. How dare you say that this empress is causing trouble? Although I don't know the details, I know that Luo is not the kind of person who would cause trouble. Xiao Yinyan looked at Xiao Yulu calmly. As the Empyrean fairy of Without Embroiling City, you colluded with people from outside the city to set up a sinister formation like the soul-devouring formation in the city, just to deal with Luo. Do you really think that your actions are right? Your heart is biased towards her, so even my breathing is wrong. Xiao Yulu sneered. Since you're biased towards that slut, don't blame this consort for not giving face to your big brother. As Xiao Yulu's voice fell, the profound energy surrounding her increased explosively once again. The moment Xiao Yulu made her move, a black ray of light surged out of her palms. Yiqing Luo's eyes flashed. This black profound light? It was very similar to the evil aura he sensed in the soul-devouring formation. Could it be, the betrayed Xiao Yulu had some kind of deal with that group of black-robed men? There was no time to think too much. Xiao Yulu's wave of evil attack was already approaching. Yiqing Luo stretched out her hand and pulled Xiao Yinyan, who was about to block in front of her. With a backhand, Yiqing Luo pushed Xiao Yinyan out of the room. Chapter 36:18. Slut. Do you think you can still have yesterday's good luck? When Xiao Yulu saw that Yiqing Luo still wanted to retaliate, anger surged to her head once again. The black profound light burst out from her body like a fairy scattering flowers, spreading in all directions and shooting out. It was obvious that she was full of energy, determined to take Yiqing Luo's life. Xiao Yinyan, who was standing outside the door, was full of shock when he saw Xiao Yulu like this. When did his sister have such a powerful and shocking power? This This had obviously broken through the spirit mystic realm and advanced to God. Even he didn't have the confidence to take on Xiao Yulu's attack. No, something was wrong. Xiao Yulu's power had definitely not broken through to the spirit mystic realm before today. Based on Xiao Yulu's character, if Xiao Yulu had already broken through to the spirit mystic realm and become a god, she would definitely flaunt it to let the entire without embroiling city know about this. To Xiao Yulu, this twin sister, even if they didn't spend much time together, Xiao Yinyan could also be sure that Xiao Yulu had always been jealous of him. Jealous that he was the eldest son. Jealous that he was called a genius since young. Because of his existence, she was so intelligent and talented, but all the light was forcibly overshadowed. So, if Xiao Yulu had any areas that could surpass him, it would absolutely be widely publicized. But, what was with the power that Xiao Yulu had released now? Xiao Yulu's violent attack was approaching Yiqing Luo. The speed was as fast as lightning, only a trace of afterimage could be seen. But Yiqing Luo seemed to have not noticed it, standing in the same place, holding the glower flame fan tightly, her eyes full of vigilance. Ah Luo. Xiao Yinyan didn't care that he was currently not Xiao Yulu's opponent and immediately rushed forward. The ranks after the Paragon realm were all leaps and bounds in quality, especially when one stepped into the spirit mystic realm and became a godlike cultivator. All the profound energy that was released was accompanied by a shocking aura. Moreover, it was the most difficult to deal with a spirit mystic realm cultivator, because a spirit mystic realm cultivator would be covered with a layer of protective aura, similar to a shield, fighting against a spirit mystic realm cultivator. Unless the spirit mystic realm cultivator's shield was broken. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to injure a spirit Shen expert. In other words, it was equivalent to having an extra life compared to other profound practitioners. This was the reason why everyone wanted to become a god. Although Xiao Yinyan couldn't see through Yiqing Luo's profound grade, but he was also clear that Yiqing Luo's power was probably around the level of Sage Profound. Xiao Yulu, who had already broken through to the Divine Profound realm. Every counterattack was like striking a rock with an egg. But, just as Xiao Yinyan was about to rush forward and block for Yiqing Luo, Xiao Yinyan only saw a white shadow flash past his eyes. Immediately after, he was thrown out of the door by a huge creature. With a pa sound, the door was tightly shut by the hurricane. Xiao Yinyan was shocked and he pushed away the huge thing that was pouncing on him. When he touched it, it was a piece of soft fur. In front of him, the thing with its thick claws pressing down on his body was actually a snow-white tiger beast. What was going on? In the room. After asking Chi-Chi to stop Xiao Yinyan, Yiqing Luo raised her wrist abruptly. The glower flame fan in her hand instantly left her hand. Her figure moved and her footwork was quickly displayed. Chapter 36:19. The air waves rolled and the profound wave was aggressive. The glower flame fan shot out like a sharp blade, the monstrous red profound light burst out, as if a raging flame had split the heaven and earth. The speed of the glower flame fan was extremely fast. Xiao Yulu's expression congealed, the gaze under the veil was like a malicious poisonous snake, cold and ruthless. This is not the array. Without that lover of yours by your side, do you think you can break through this consort's attack with such insignificant tricks? Her arms shook, the profound energy in her body was like a sharp wind blade, wave after wave vibrating out from her body. The black profound light turned into sharp blades. They were like steel blades that blocked the glowing flame fan. Tight and like a dense big net, it collided with Yiqing Luo's profound energy. Just at this moment, the young lady's lips suddenly curled into a sly sneer. Xiao Yulu's heart trembled when she saw that sneer. She realized something was wrong. But it was too late. Just at the moment when her profound energy and Yiqing Luo's profound energy collided, that glower flame fan which was just blocked, it was like a blazing fire, expanding and surging in an instant. The red of the flames dyed everything in the surroundings red. It also dyed Xiao Yulu's eyes which were hidden under the black veil. It was this dazzling moment. It made Xiao Yulu neglect that glower flame fan which flew out from the raging flames. Following the movement of Yiqing Luo's fingertips, the glower flame fan had already wrapped around Xiao Yulu's face with the force of 1,000 caddies, until Xiao Yulu reacted. The sharp red glow of the glower flame fan had already cut through Xiao Yulu's black veil. Damn it! Xiao Yulu was flustered, her palm wind was swift and fierce, striking towards the glower flame fan. But a delicate hand held the handle of the glower flame fan. The glower flame fan flipped and swept up a hurricane, causing Xiao Yulu's palm wind to fly back. Xiao Yulu was stunned as she quickly raised her head. She saw Yiqing Luo holding the glower flame fan, had already retreated to a relatively safe position, looking at her with a ridiculing smile. The black veil floated, falling beside her feet. Xiao Yulu felt an itch at her feet as she looked down. When he saw the black veil, her pupils suddenly shrank. A deafening scream came out of his mouth. Ah! My face! She suddenly knelt on the ground and frantically reached for her veil, trying to cover her face again. Yiqing Luo's lips curled up as she flicked her fingers. The glowing flame fan stirred up a gust of wind and blew the black veil away. Xiao Yulu's eyes reddened. He was like a trapped beast, his entire body emitting a violent aura. Her scarlet eyes stared venomously at Yiqing Luo as her voice was hoarse. What on earth do you want? She had squeezed each word out of her mouth through gritted teeth. Yiqing Luo tilted her head and smiled innocently. I just wanted to take a look at your ugly face. Saying that it was ugly was already praising Xiao Yulu. The moment the black veil fell to the ground, even Yiqing Luo's scalp turned numb when she saw Xiao Yulu's face. Xiao Yulu's face was even more horrifying than that bunch of lunatics in the underworld palace. Xiao Yulu's entire face didn't seem to have a single intact spot. As though it had been corroded by something, it was full of potholes with rotten flesh hanging on it. It was as horrifying as it could get. As disgusting as it could get. Xiao Yulu had always been concerned about her looks. So much that she couldn't allow herself to see any face that was prettier than hers. Chapter 36:20. It was imaginable how much of a blow this was to Xiao Yulu. It was no wonder that Xiao Yulu claimed to be sick and hid in the room, even covering her face, not even daring to show her eyes. Yiqing Luo smiled as she looked at Xiao Yulu covering her face with both hands, desperately trying to hide her face, and stared at her with venomous eyes. The more was like this. The anger in Xiao Yulu's heart grew. It almost burned Xiao Yulu's rationality. Is this the price to pay for escaping from the devouring of the array core spirit? Yiqing Luo ignored Xiao Yulu's murderous gaze and asked with her pink lips curled. That face obviously had gone through some kind of corrosion to become like this. The only thing Yiqing Luo could think of was the array core spirit. Slut. It's all because of you. It's all because of you. The angrier Xiao Yulu was, the more the corroded flesh on her face wriggled. It looked extremely horrifying. Kai Dai, who was thrown to the corner when she saw this face, she couldn't help but tremble. She screamed in horror. She was so scared that she fainted. This made Xiao Yulu, who was already concerned about her face, to add another fire in her heart. At this moment, the tightly shut door was forcefully smashed open. The door couldn't bear the impact and shattered into sawdust on the ground. A figure rushed in and asked in a worried tone, Luo, are you all right? Xiao Yinyan rushed into the room and stared at Yiqing Luo from head to toe. After confirming that Yiqing Luo was not injured, he then looked at Xiao Yulu. When he touched Xiao Yulu's face, Xiao Yinyan's handsome face couldn't help but twitched slightly. Xiao Yulu screamed and quickly rushed back to the inner hall and jumped onto her bed. The gauze curtain slid down and covered Xiao Yulu. Xiao Yinyan was stunned on the spot and hadn't recovered from the shock. Her face was seen by 3 people consecutively. Xiao Yulu completely broke down. She covered herself under the quilt and shouted crazily, All of you get out! All of you get out! This sharp ear-piercing scream also woke Xiao Yinyan up. He turned his head stiffly as he looked towards Yiqing Luo's direction. What's going on? After he was locked outside by Yiqing Luo, he was intercepted by a snow-white tiger beast at the entrance. That tiger beast didn't harbor any malice towards him. It should be Yiqing Luo's war pet. However, 2 screams suddenly came from inside the house. Each was sharper than the last. This worried Xiao Yinyan, so he forced his way in. But unexpectedly, he would see his own sister in such a state. Yiqing Luo took a look at Xiao Yulu, who was curled up on the bed, and shrugged her shoulders. It's probably the effect of being swallowed by the array core spirit. She only had her face destroyed, but at least she wasn't devoured by the spirit of the formation eye. She can be considered lucky. Lucky? If you think this is luck, then you're ruining your own face. This empress will let you have this luck. When Xiao Yulu heard Yiqing Luo's words of, it's easy to talk, she was so infuriated that her heart was trembling. Yiqing Luo smiled, it's not that I'm sinister and wanted to make use of strangers to achieve my own goal. You only have yourself to blame for being swallowed by the spirit of the formation eye and having your face destroyed. Xiao Yulu was flustered and exasperated as she was about to crawl out of the quilt and berate Yiqing Luo. Before she could speak, Xiao Yinyan interrupted, "Princess Yulu." Chapter 36:21. Without waiting for Xiao Yulu to answer, Yiqing Luo was already shaking her head. The Spirit Devourer formation's eye spirit is extremely sinister. Her face is corroded by the evil qi, so it's impossible to use profound qi to restore it. If he could really recover. When Xiao Yulu had escaped back to the Qiao residence, she had already used her profound qi to restore her face. For her, face was much more important than one's profound strength. Xiao Yinyan naturally knew how important Xiao Yulu's face was to Xiao Yulu. His brows were tightly knitted and his face was filled with worry. After all, Xiao Yulu was his younger sister, and also the Empyrean fairy of Without Embroiling City. Xiao Yulu's face became like this. If the news spread to the palace of Ling Long, they would probably blame the Qiao family for not taking good care of the mysterious fairy. It would also drag Di Luo into this. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something and his eyes lit up slightly as he looked at Yiqing Luo. "Ah Luo, I have a presumptuous request." His eyes seemed to be glowing, filled with hope. He didn't hide his thoughts at all. This made Yiqing Luo unable to restrain her laughter. She chuckled. "You want the beauty cream, right?" Xiao Yinyan glanced at Xiao Yulu, who was curled up under the blanket, and sighed. Her face can't be like this. At least, not in Without Embroiling City. Yiqing Luo raised her brows slightly. If I give it to her, she might not use it. She will. Xiao Yulu, who valued her beauty as much as her life, would never let go of a chance to regain her looks. Yiqing Luo flicked her fingers and a transparent bottle fell into Xiao Yinyan's hand. Twice a day, once in the morning and once in the morning. Judging from the condition of the Empyrean fairy's face, this bottle can only last her for 3 days at most. Xiao Yinyan took the bottle and thanked her. "Thank you. I only gave it to you because you personally asked for it. You don't need to thank me. Just treat it as me returning the favor." As Yiqing Luo was saying that, her peripheral vision swept towards Xiao Yulu. The shadow cast through the gauze curtain. Yiqing Luo obviously saw it when she took out the beautifying cream. Xiao Yulu's head popped out from under the blanket. Obviously he was tempted. Yiqing Luo's lips curled into an undetectable arc as she turned around and walked out of the room. Whether she uses it or not is her business. I still have things to do at treasure gathering, so I'll head back first. When she reached the entrance, Yiqing Luo stopped in her tracks and took a look at Xiao Yinyan. "There's no need to send me off, accompany mysterious maiden well. At the very least, I can't die so easily before the auction ends and the bet between me and her." She chuckled and walked away. Looking at the young girl's elegant back view, Xiao Yinyan slowly retracted his gaze and looked at the transparent bottle in his palm. "I won't use that slut's things. She wants to kill this consort." Xiao Yulu yelled at the top of her lungs, "You're this consort's big brother. Are you going to help that be *tch kill your only sister?" Xiao Yinyan furrowed his brows. After Yiqing Luo left, his expression and emotions became extremely distant and impatient. He walked slowly towards the bed. Xiao Yulu screamed as she retreated. Xiao Yinyan stood by the side of the bed as his voice was indifferent. "This is the only thing that can make your face recover completely. If you want to throw it away or smash it, it has nothing to do with me." He lifted the gauze curtain and threw the bottle onto the bed. "Anyway, the one whose face is disfigured and disgusting isn't me." These words were indeed a little hurtful. No matter how horrifying it was to see Xiao Yulu's face. Chapter 36:22. However, Xiao Yinyan was straightforward. He used the words disgusting and horrible to describe Xiao Yulu's face. It was like stabbing a knife into Xiao Yulu's heart. Xiao Yulu's heart ached to have such a biased brother. Xiao Yinyan's expression was calm as he looked at the person under the quilt. "As your big brother, I've asked for it for you. It's up to you whether you believe me or use it." Then he turned and left Xiao Yulu's room without saying anything else. Xiao Yulu stared blankly at the medicine bottle on the bed. Then the wooden door that Xiao Yinyan had broken was blown up by a gust of wind, blocking the sound of the door opening. Xiao Yulu came to her senses. She curled up under the quilt in a daze. All the hysteria had vanished into thin air. His horrifying face, which was full of rotten flesh, also relaxed. The only 2 intact eyes were filled with pain. What she cared about the most, it was his own face. But now it was destroyed by that formation. She couldn't appear in front of others with such a face. She was the Empyrean fairy of Without Embroiling City. She was the Empyrean fairy who was respected by everyone. She couldn't ruin everyone's life just because her face was destroyed. Little by little, Xiao Yulu's line of sight shifted to the crystal-clear medicine bottle on the bed. The jade bottle was exquisite and small. The medicine was pink and emitted a colorful, alluring light. Little by little, her hand moved towards the bottle of medicine. This was something that Di Luo, that bitch, had taken out. Would Di Luo, that bitch, really save her? Would this thing really be useful? Xiao Yulu struggled in her heart. On one hand, she wanted to restore her face. She felt that Di Luo owed Xiao Yinyan a favor. Since Xiao Yinyan had asked her personally, Di Luo wouldn't use Xiao Yinyan to harm her. After all, Di Luo owed Xiao Yinyan even more if she dragged him into this. On the other hand, Xiao Yulu didn't want to use Di Luo's thing. She suspected that Di Luo had poisoned the medicine. She wanted to kill her. The anxiety in her heart made Xiao Yulu unable to make a decision. Then her gaze slowly fell on Kai Dai, who had fainted on the ground, her face pale. The other side. Leaving Qiao residence, Yiqing Luo carried Qi and headed directly towards the direction of the gathering treasure. Old Man Tsang said from within the azure dew bracelet, "You want to use the beautifying ointment to help treasure-gathering auction seize the honor of being the best auction house. Now that you're giving the beautifying ointment to Xiao Yulu, aren't you afraid that she'll secretly plot against you? Her face is already like that. How can I just stand by and watch? What's more, I can also return Yin Yen a favor." Yiqing Luo gave an unfathomable smile. "How could you be so kind?" Old Man Tsang expressed his disbelief. "You couldn't have poisoned that bottle of beautifying cream, right?" Yiqing Luo. "Did she look like that kind of person?" Old Man Tsang answered without the slightest hesitation, "Yes." Yiqing Luo's lips twitched as she rolled her eyes. "There's no problem with that bottle of beauty cream, and indeed, there's a chance to cure that corroded face of hers." Old Man Tsang's tone was still suspicious. "Are you secretly plotting something?" Yiqing Luo. In Old Man Tsang's heart, what kind of image did she have? It was rare that she wanted to be a good person, but she had to be suspected in various ways. Chapter 36-23. However, plans couldn't keep up with changes. The current situation saved her the trouble of scheming against Xiao Yulu. Initially, he was discussing with Gu Zishi how to promote the beauty cream. Yiqing Luo immediately thought of Xiao Yulu. His original plan was to cause trouble for Xiao Yulu and take the opportunity to poison her. After Xiao Yulu was poisoned and disfigured, then he arranged for someone to push the beautifying cream to Xiao Yulu. As the Empyrean fairy, Xiao Yulu would definitely want to buy the beauty cream if it was effective. At that time, wouldn't the beautifying cream be promoted? But now, there was no need to go through the trouble of poisoning it. Xiao Yulu had already disfigured herself. However, in the end, it still achieved the final result. Xiao Yulu would definitely visit her again and ask for the beauty cream. The Empyrean maiden wouldn't use the things that you took out, right? Old Man Tsang was very doubtful. "She will." Yiqing Luo replied confidently, "because she cares too much about that face." In any case, his face was already ruined to such a state. Try the beautifying cream. At most, it would just rot a little more flesh. Therefore, Xiao Yulu would definitely use it. But Yiqing Luo guessed that perhaps Xiao Yulu would choose another, more bloody method to use the beautifying ointment. Of course, none of this had much to do with her. The foreplay that she needed to do was all done. What he needed to do now was, he was waiting for the fish to take the bait. For the next few days, Yiqing Luo didn't go anywhere. He stayed in the treasure-gathering hall and refined all kinds of beautifying ointments. It wasn't until the third day that Gu Zishi finished refining all of the medicinal herbs she had gathered that she walked out of her room. These few days, the treasure-gathering grounds were calm and peaceful. City Lord Lu did not come to cause trouble. Xiao Yulu was also quiet and did not cause any trouble. Xiao Yinyan was the only one who came to treasure-gathering hall every day to run errands and receive guests. That's right, customers. Ever since that day when Xiao Yulu injured the citizens, Pei Xing had taken good care of her. The majority of without embroiling city citizens had completely changed their opinion of treasure-gathering and Pei Xing. On top of that, Xiao Yinyan, the genius youth, ran to the treasure-gathering hall every day. It did attract some citizens to come to visit. However, Gu Zishi did not wake up. Even if treasure-gathering hall had customers again, Pei Xing was still not in high spirits. After Yiqing Luo walked out of the room, Pei Xing hurriedly came forward. "Ah Luo, when will little sister wake up?" Yiqing Luo walked to the next room and checked on Gu Zishi's condition. Gu Zishi was fine. Perhaps it was because he had exhausted too much of his energy in the soul-devouring formation and the soul-devouring formation's influence on his soul. He felt somewhat fatigued. He should be able to wake up after sleeping for another day or two. However, Pei Xing's face was filled with worry. Yiqing Luo's words suddenly changed and her lips curled up as she teasingly asked, "These few days did you feed her medicine on time?" "Yes." Pei Xing quickly nodded. Yiqing Luo nodded and raised her slender brows, pretending to be serious. "Are you sure you really fed the medicine into Zishi's mouth and into her body?" Pei Xing nodded vigorously. "I fed her the medicine myself. She's unconscious. Does she know how to swallow? Even if you fed the medicine to the side of her mouth, she shouldn't know how to swallow it right." Yiqing Luo touched her chin. "Don't tell me the medicine flowed onto the pillow and you thought she drank it." Chapter 36-24. Yiqing Luo's eyes were filled with ridicule. But her mouth was still pretending to be puzzled. "Are you sure? How can you be sure?" Pei Xing's face was so red that no other color could be seen. He lowered his head, looking like an innocent young man. Yiqing Luo laughed out loud with a pfft sound. Pei Xing raised his head and saw the ridicule in Yiqing Luo's eyes. He opened his mouth and wanted to reprimand Yiqing Luo. But when the words came to his mouth, he didn't know what to say. His mouth moved, but in the end he kept his mouth shut. His face turned even redder. "All right, I won't tease you anymore. Take good care of Zishi. She will either wake up today or tomorrow." Yiqing Luo patted his shoulder and walked out of the room. Innocent young man shouldn't tease too much. He would take it seriously. Like Gu Zishi lying unconscious on the bed. There was no way to feed her medicine or whatever. There was only one way. That was use mouth. The innocent Pei Xing in order to make Gu Zishi drink the medicine. He could only choose this method. So under Yiqing Luo's teasing his face turned so red. But this feeding of medicine or whatever had given these two young lovers a push. If she seized the opportunity, soon these two people would no longer be so bashful. Yiqing Luo stretched her waist and walked to the treasure-gathering hall to check on the situation. In the hall, there were 3 citizens standing in front of the counter asking about something. Those 3 were all women with decent looks. Looking at their dressing, they looked like the daughter of a rich family. Qiao Yinyan's lips curled into a smile. Those few women were talking about something. Seeing Yiqing Luo coming out from the inner courtyard, Qiao Yinyan suddenly raised his hand and waved at her. "Ah Luo, these customers are here to look for you." Customers? Look for her? After she returned from the Qiao residence, she shut herself in the room to refine beauty ointment. There would be customers coming to look for her? Yiqing Luo blinked and walked over. Qiao Yinyan walked out from behind the counter and said to the 3 women, "The things you want were refined by this Miss D. Right now, the Treasures Exchange Hall really doesn't have any stock. If you want, you can ask Miss D." When those 3 ladies heard Qiao Yinyan's words, their gazes towards Yiqing Luo instantly changed from the enmity which the ladies had when facing a beauty to an earnest and fawning look. The speed at which his face changed was simply too fast. The 3 ladies were like pets who had seen their owner. Their eyes sparkled as they crowded towards Yiqing Luo. The scent of women's fragrant powder assaulted his nostrils. Yiqing Luo's hands were hugged by the lady. "Yiqing Luo, wait a minute. If you have something to say, then say it nicely. Why are you getting all touchy?" She didn't want the feeling of hugging beauties on both sides and leaning on beauties. Yiqing Luo asked Qiao Yinyan with her eyes, "What's going on?" Qiao Yinyan looked at the helpless young lady who was surrounded by ladies and couldn't help but moved his thin lips as he laughed softly. "They just want to find out from you about the effects of the beauty ointment and the price. They want to know if it's as miraculous as the rumors say." Rumors? She seemed like she hadn't started to promote the beauty ointment? Where did the rumors come from? Right. I heard that a few days ago, Boss Pei's sister took a bottle of beauty ointment and gave it to the Blood Mercenary Group's mercenaries to use. I heard from the mercenaries over at Blood Mercenary Group that as long as that beauty ointment is smeared on the face, the skin will become smooth and tender. Chapter 36-25. I heard that those female mercenaries from Blood Mercenary Group, after applying the beauty cream, there were no traces on their faces at all. Totally can't tell that he's a rough man who runs around on missions. Is the beauty cream really that magical? Miss D, can you take out the beautifying cream for us to see? Let us see the effect. The 3 women were blabbering away in his ear. It was so noisy that Yiqing Luo's brain started to jump. But she had at least heard from the lady's words. She heard a few key words. Gu Zishi gave the beauty cream to the blood mercenary group? After the blood mercenary group's mercenaries used it, there was a miraculous effect? Hence the blood mercenary group helped to promote the beauty cream? Or perhaps Gu Zishi had previously requested the blood mercenary group's leader, Su Qingbing, to make use of blood mercenary group's reputation to promote the beauty cream? Miss D, why aren't you saying anything? Is the beauty cream real or not? There are so many sisters outside waiting for our reply. Is it true or not? Give me an answer. The lady saw Yiqing Luo not replying and started blabbering again. Yiqing Luo's head was hurting from all the noise as she raised her hand and stopped their voices. Then she pushed away the ladies who were sticking to her. Since you're here to ask, you should believe in the beauty cream's effect, isn't that so? The ladies were stunned. The news came from the blood mercenary group. Basically it couldn't be fake. But the minute they thought that this beauty cream was from the Treasures Exchange Hall, everyone's heart started to beat like a drum. After all, 5 years ago, there was an incident where the Treasures Exchange Hall lied to their customers. And now it was the auction period. The Treasures Exchange Hall was the same as 5 years ago, doing something which caused an uproar in the city. They were all very worried. In the end, the Treasures Exchange Hall was dug out, so it was all fake. Although in the recent period, the citizens' impression towards the Treasures Exchange Hall had changed slightly. But after all, the incident 5 years ago had really happened and really existed. Even if Pei Xing wanted to clear his name, he couldn't. Moreover, these ladies were different from the citizens who had received the Treasures Exchange Hall's favor. He still had some doubts about treasure gathering. Yiqing Luo looked at the three ladies' expressions and knew what they were thinking. She curled her lips and said indifferently, "We do have beauty ointment." The eyes of the women immediately lit up a little. Their eyes were filled with hope and anticipation. "Can we see some beauty cream? Can I have a look at the effects of the beauty cream?" The woman asked. Yiqing Luo raised her brows. "It's not impossible, but..." She had yet to finish her words. Suddenly, an extremely arrogant voice came from the door. "How many beautifying creams does the treasure gathering hall have? This empress wants all of them." Following that, Qiao Yulu, who was dressed in a white veil and had a black veil over her face, walked into the treasure gathering hall under the escort of her guards. At this moment, half of Qiao Yulu's face was covered by a black veil, revealing only her eyes and forehead. Yiqing Luo took a look. The skin above Qiao Yulu's forehead had already recovered, and it was fair and tender. Princess Yulu." The minute the three ladies saw Qiao Yulu, they immediately bowed respectfully. Qiao Yulu arrogantly raised her head, not even bothering to take a look at them as she spoke out arrogantly. "This beauty cream, this empress wants all of it, all of you scram." The three ladies were stunned. "Princess Yulu, this..." Chapter 36-26. The three women were so frightened that they took a step back. Their eyes were filled with reverence for Qiao Yulu. They lowered their heads and grabbed each other's hands, preparing to leave. Before they could even lift their feet, the three women were blocked by a slender figure. Yiqing Luo stood in front of the trio, separating them from Qiao Yulu. Yiqing Luo met Qiao Yulu's eyes with a smile which didn't look like a smile, as her smile was filled with ridicule. It's rare for mysterious maiden to come to the gathering of treasures, not to create trouble but to do business. Cut the crap. Take out the beautifying cream, no matter how many crystal stones you want, I will give it to you. Qiao Yulu was rather infuriated by Yiqing Luo's glare. How could she not tell that Yiqing Luo was ridiculing her? However, he thought of the beautifying cream. In the end, Qiao Yulu swallowed her anger. Yiqing Luo smiled sweetly. "I know mysterious fairy is rich and overbearing, not worried about crystal stones. What do you want?" Hearing the meaning behind Yiqing Luo's words, Qiao Yulu frowned as she asked in displeasure. Yiqing Luo's eyes curved into crescents as she smiled. "The beauty ointment is the auction item that we are going to present to the auction." Qiao Yulu's expression froze. "What do you mean?" Yiqing Luo smiled innocently. "It's exactly the literal meaning. Don't tell me mysterious maiden doesn't understand." Qiao Yulu's eyes were gloomy, and a wisp of killing intent flashed between her brows. His fingers under his sleeves were clenched into fists. In the face of this invisible pressure, Yiqing Luo expressed that she didn't feel anything. "Mysterious fairy need not be anxious. The day after tomorrow is the auction." Qiao Yulu was furious. Her body trembled uncontrollably. "This consort wants the beautifying cream right now. Give me the beautifying ointment, and I'll give you a higher price than the one at the auction. Yi Qing Luo raised her finger as she shook it. Mysterious Maiden has personally used the beauty cream's effect, so she should be very clear about it. Adding on to the fact that there's the Blood Mercenary Group's side who have personally experimented and promoted it, what do you think? If I were to put it up for auction, how high a price would my beauty cream fetch? Xiao Yulu's face darkened. When the three women behind him heard this, their hearts couldn't help but jump. Princess Yulu personally used the beautifying cream? And he still wanted to buy all the beautifying cream? And he didn't hesitate to spend a lot of crystal stones? Didn't this mean that the beautifying cream was really useful? Otherwise, why would Palace Master Yulu, who had a grudge with Treasure Gathering Palace, personally come to purchase the beauty cream? Hearing that Yi Qing Luo was going to put up the beautifying cream at the auction, the thoughts of the three women became active again. If it was now. They certainly did not dare to fight with Xiao Yulu for the beauty cream. However, when it came to the auction, that was the auction. If you are worried about offending someone, you can also choose to bid anonymously. Yi Qing Luo saw that the effect had been achieved and smiled at Xiao Yulu. Don't stare at me, this is after all a collaboration between me and Treasure Gathering. We've already reported it to the auction house, so there's no way to sell it to you privately. Xiao Yulu was just about to say that she would sell a bottle to her first, but upon hearing Yi Qing Luo's words, these words were stuck in her throat. She gritted her teeth. How many bottles did Treasure Gathering report? It's very difficult to refine the beautifying ointment. These are my treasures that I've been keeping for a long time. Yi Qing Luo said smilingly, I only have 10 bottles. 10 bottles? Xiao Yulu subconsciously touched her own face, as though she was considering whether 10 bottles of beautifying cream was able to restore her face completely. Chapter 36-27. How could Xiao Yulu not tell that Yi Qing Luo was intentionally ridiculing her? If she really wanted the beauty bomb, she would have to go to the hospital. Which meant she had to use a high price to bid for the beauty cream at the auction. That meant that she would use her crystal stones to help the treasure house to get the honor of the best trading house. That meant that she would make herself lose the bet with Yi Qing Luo. Xiao Yulu's face turned pale instantly. She clenched her fists tightly as she stared at Yi Qing Luo with hatred. You did it on purpose? Xiao Yulu finally understood at this moment. Ever since she confirmed the efficacy of the beauty cream, she had been wondering why Di Luo would give it to her so easily. Not to mention, on account of Qiao Yinyan. If Di Luo really wasn't willing. Even if Qiao Yinyan knelt on the ground, Di Luo wouldn't be moved. However, Di Luo had easily taken out the skin beautifying ointment that day at the Qiao mansion. From that time onwards, Di Luo had planned everything. Di Luo had guessed correctly that she would take any risk for her face. So, she intentionally gave the beauty cream to her. After she tasted the sweetness, she made use of her to bid for the beauty cream at the auction. Because, looking at the entire without embroiling city, the person who needed the beauty cream the most was only her. And she had to have it. Di Luo wanted her to slap her own mouth, using her crystal stones to make her lose the bet between them. What a vicious scheme. Xiao Yulu's eyes turned red from the glare. Her venomous gaze was like a sharp thorn, piercing into Yi Qing Luo's heart. Facing such a gaze, Yi Qing Luo's expression was calm, without any change in her emotions. Instead, she met Xiao Yulu's gaze, her pink lips curled upwards as she smiled sweetly. Oh? Since you said I did it on purpose, then. When the auction is over, wouldn't it be better if Mysterious Maiden doesn't bid? Xiao Yulu was flustered. While she and Yi Qing Luo had such a huge conflict, she even lowered herself to personally come to the treasure house to buy the beauty cream from Yi Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo actually dared to rub her nose in. The angrier she got, the more anxious she became. The smile on Yi Qing Luo's face became even more radiant. Seeing Mysterious Maiden's determined look towards the facial beauty ointment, looks like the effect of the facial beauty ointment is really not bad at all. I hope that by then the value of the facial beauty ointment will be able to go up another level in the auction. Xiao Yulu raised her finger and pointed at Yi Qing Luo with a trembling finger. Her chest heaved up and down, vibrating with force. She stared at Yi Qing Luo for some time before she pointed towards Yi Qing Luo's direction and pointed hard in the air. Good. Well done. Di Luo, this Empress would like to see if you can deliver the beauty bomb to the auction master in one piece during the auction the day after tomorrow. Xiao Yulu spat out each word through gritted teeth. It was a powerful and majestic pressure. It kept on eroding Yi Qing Luo. Yiqing Luo tilted her head as her long and narrow eyes rose upwards, staring at Xiao Yulu with a smile which didn't look like a smile. Xiao Yulu was about to leave. But she heard Yiqing Luo giggling, "Ioyo, I'm so scared." Saying that, Yiqing Luo walked towards Qiao Yinyan's direction. "Eldest young Master Qiao, is mysterious maiden considered to be threatening me? If something happens to me before the bet between us ends, can it be blamed on her?" Chapter 36-28. TSK. By then, there will be a lot of people paying attention to Mysterious Fairy. Yiqing Luo's eyebrows curved into a smile, looking extremely lively and alluring. Using another method to become famous is not a bad idea. Qiao Yinyan's expression sunk slightly, his brows wrinkled tightly. His gaze was deep as he stared at Xiao Yulu, as without embroiling city's mysterious fairy, your every word and action represents without embroiling city. Since you want to make this bet with Aluo, then under the condition that Aluo doesn't violate the rules, you cannot use your own safety to threaten Aluo. Otherwise, no matter what happens to Aluo as mysterious fairy, you have to bear the responsibility. Xiao Yulu's eyes were bloodshot. She snorted loudly and flung her sleeves down heavily. Turning around, she led the guards of the large sect and left the treasure-gathering hall. After the 10 over of them left the narrow hall, fresh air finally returned to the lobby of the treasure's gathering hall. Miss D. Behind her, a lady's careful call was heard. Yiqing Luo then remembered that there were 3 other ladies hiding behind her. She immediately moved away and turned around to look behind her. She saw one of the ladies staring at her without blinking. "Miss D. You said you will put the beauty ointment in the auction, is that true?" Yiqing Luo nodded. "Of course it's true. But you saw Mysterious Fairy's attitude earlier. If she's not willing to give you the beauty ointment, I'm afraid you won't be able to bid for it." As the eldest daughter of the Qiao family, the #1 aristocratic family in the Earth realm, so the mysterious fairy who came out from Linglong Palace, Xiao Yulu had no lack of crystal stones. To Xiao Yulu, as long as the problem could be solved with crystal stones, then it wasn't a problem. So as long as Xiao Yulu really wanted the beauty ointment, it was enough to exchange for 10 bottles of beauty ointment. The ladies looked at each other in dismay, their expressions were a little ugly. Yiqing Luo looked at them with a smile. "Thank you for your support for the beauty ointment. I heard that you have a bunch of sisters waiting for the news of the beauty ointment, right?" Yes. The young mistresses nodded. Yiqing Luo pondered deeply for a moment and said, "How about this, after the auction ends, I'll strive to refine a few more bottles of beauty ointment and by then we'll auction it off at the treasure gathering hall. All of you can come and take part." The eyes of the ladies lit up. "Really?" Yiqing Luo nodded with a smile. After discussing a few more sentences about the beautifying cream with the ladies, Yiqing Luo sent them off. The treasures exchange hall fell into a rare moment of silence. Qiao Yinyan poured a cup of warm tea and passed it to Yiqing Luo, telling Princess Yulu about the hidden card of the treasure gathering so early. "Aren't you worried that she will come up with some countermeasures to counter the beauty cream?" "On the contrary, I'm afraid that she won't target me." Yiqing Luo smiled evilly. Qiao Yinyan raised an eyebrow. "Does that mean you already had a plan?" Yiqing Luo touched her chin. "Although towards Mysterious Maiden, I don't understand her as well as you, but I'm very clear that she's not someone who can swallow her grievances. She had suffered quite a lot of grievances and suffered quite a lot from me, so how would she possibly let me take part in the auction smoothly?" "Don't tell me, she will really make a move on you before the auction?" Qiao Yinyan's expression congealed. Chapter 36-29. What will she do? Qiao Yinyan asked in puzzlement. Why did it feel like Di Luo knew his sister better than him? Yiqing Luo raised her eyebrows and smiled meaningfully. "No matter what she will do, I am sure she will use a very stupid way to deal with the treasure exchange." Qiao Yinyan. Actually, it was not that Xiao Yulu was stupid but Di Luo was too smart. But looking at Yiqing Luo's calm and composed look, she obviously had a plan in her heart. He didn't need to worry about her. As expected, everything was as Yiqing Luo had predicted. Xiao Yulu made her move. The beauty cream, under the publicity of the blood mercenary group, had been treated as a peerless treasure by countless young ladies. Furthermore, during the day at the treasures gathering exchange, the 3 young ladies had exaggerated the matters of the treasures gathering exchange to the group of young ladies. As a result, the group of young ladies yearned for the skin beautifying cream even more. If the beauty cream was really put up for auction, the price would absolutely be heaven-defying. It could be said that the treasure exchange hall could really use the beauty cream to fight a beautiful turnaround. So, Xiao Yulu wanted the beauty cream but wasn't willing to lose the bet with Yi Qing Luo. Then she could only let Yi Qing Luo's beauty cream lose its luster before the auction. Hence, it took almost half a day's time, which was the afternoon after Xiao Yulu left the treasure exchange hall. The entire without embroiling city started to spread a rumor. The treasure-gathering trading company used the reputation of the bloody mercenary group to purposely promote the so-called beauty ointment. They wanted to exaggerate the effects of the beauty ointment before the auction to trick the citizens into bidding for the beauty ointment at a high price. This rumor didn't fly for long. Another rumor continued to spread. What? You want to ask why the treasure exchange hall did this? And even borrowed the reputation of the blood mercenary group to promote the beauty cream? Weren't they afraid that the blood mercenary group would blame them and directly destroy their treasure exchange hall? No. How could the treasure exchange hall be afraid? The treasure exchange hall did this entirely to obtain the honor of the best auction hall in the auction. Because the lady named Di Luo who took out the beauty cream had a bet with Without Embroiling City's mysterious maiden. She didn't want to lose, so she resorted to all means. You want to ask, what evidence is there to prove that the treasures exchange hall is lying to the citizens? Because 5 years ago, the treasures exchange hall had used the same method. You don't believe me? Ask any elderly citizen in Without Embroiling City, and they would all know what sort of infuriating incident had happened in the treasure exchange hall that had been all the rage for a while 5 years ago. The more the rumors spread, the more exaggerated they became and the harder it was to listen to them. In the end, it turned into a treasure-gathering transaction. They wanted to use the old tricks from 5 years ago to deceive the citizens and ignore the strict fairness of the auction. When these rumors and slanders reached Pei Xing's ears, Pei Xing was stunned. It all happened that night. At that time, Pei Xing was going to the river to fetch water. She was stopped by a few women and asked about the beauty cream. Only then did she hear the news. Especially when it involved what happened 5 years ago. Pei Xing's expression changed immediately. He threw down the pole that was used to fetch water and rushed back to the treasure exchange hall. This action, it was also spread by some people. As a result, Pei Xing flew into a rage out of humiliation and tacitly admitted the truth of the rumor. Chapter 3630. Pei Xing returned to treasure gathering. Yi Qing Luo was by the counter, setting up some small items. Seeing that Pei Xing had returned, she looked up and glanced at him. Didn't you go to fetch water for Zixi to wipe her body? Why did he come back empty-handed? Why do you look so pale? Have you heard the rumors that the citizens outside are discussing? Pei Xing thought about how the citizens around him, who had been smiling at him in a friendly manner, were now pointing at him with looks of disgust and disgust. Anger surged in his heart. I heard. Yi Qing Luo's expression was indifferent. Do you mind? Of course I care. Pei Xing clenched his fists. 5 years ago, it was clearly the Zhongqing trading house that framed Gathering Bao and the trading house. Gathering Bao has never lied to anyone. It's useless for you to say these words to me. Yi Qing Luo put down the item in her hands as she looked at him calmly. Of course, even if you run out to explain to anyone, it's useless. Pei Xing's anxiety and Yi Qing Luo's calmness formed a sharp contrast. Facing Yi Qing Luo's calm and indifferent attitude, Pei Xing's clenched fists loosened, but he couldn't help but clench them again. He repeated this a few times. His entire person seemed to lose all strength and he slumped down in dejection. Luo. Treasure conglomeration has finally taken a turn for the better with great difficulty. The day after tomorrow is the grand auction, but now there's such a rumor. It was not just treasure gathering's reputation that was tarnished. Most importantly, Luo will lose the bet. If he really handed Luo over to Princess Yulu and let her do whatever she wanted with him, Princess Yulu would never let Luo leave alive. I'm sorry. Luo, it's all because of me, it's all because of my incompetence. Pei Xing sat down on the chair weakly, covering his face with his hands. Yi Qing Luo pursed her lips as she looked at Pei Xing quietly for some time before she spoke out calmly. This isn't your fault, the person Xiao Yulu is targeting is me. She paused and walked out from behind the counter. However, you're right about one thing. Xing, you are indeed incompetent. Her straightforwardness caused Pei Xing's body to stiffen. Yi Qing Luo continued, if you really want to protect the treasures exchange hall, if you really want to protect Zixi, then you should straighten your back and not be at a loss of what to do the minute something happens, blaming yourself in various ways, then not doing anything at all, just immersing yourself in your decadent emotions. Pei Xing's hand slowly slid down from his face. His handsome face was filled with pain. His eyes were also a little red. Yiqing Luo walked to his side, her gaze was still as calm as usual. Ah Xing, you must remember that you are a man with an indomitable spirit. You must use your own two hands to create unlimited possibilities. So what if Xiao Yulu spreads rumors? So what if they damage the reputation of the treasures trading house? Don't tell me that if you continue to wallow in self-pity, the problem will be solved? Yiqing Luo's successive explosive strikes made Pei Xing's entire person stunned till he turned stiff. He looked at Yiqing Luo in a daze. Following Yiqing Luo's words, his reddened eyes started to change. His stiff body slowly moved. A pair of pure black bright eyes seemed to be filled with starlight. He clenched his fists as he stood up abruptly. Ah Luo, I'm sorry. I know. Looking at the man straightened his back, his tall figure appeared extremely skinny. Yiqing Luo sighed softly. The reason why Pei Xing's character was weak. It was also because of the environment. Chapter 36-31. He had grown up in the trading house since young. He personally witnessed the changes in the trading house. He personally witnessed his own kin drowning themselves in the river. And after taking over the trading house, he became the target of exclusion by the entire city. This had a huge impact on Pei Xing. What Yiqing Luo needed to do was to change him from the bottom of his heart. From the fact that Pei Xing wasn't affected by the spirit devourer formation. Pei Xing must have some secret on him. If Pei Xing could dig it out, this would be a good step forward for his future. What should I do? Pei Xing regained his spirits as he looked at Yiqing Luo. After the auction is over, I will have to leave without embroiling city. Ah Xing, I can't help you with everything. Yiqing Luo patted his shoulder. Pei Xing was stunned. He wanted to ask Yiqing Luo to stay, but he was very clear in his heart. Yiqing Luo absolutely could not stay in without embroiling city. She still had to look for her fiancé. Pei Xing took a deep breath and calmed his thoughts. There's still one more day before the auction. We have to change everyone's opinion of treasure gathering by tomorrow. Especially, we have to make the citizens believe in the effects of the beauty ointment again. Yiqing Luo nodded. What do you intend to do? Seeing that Yiqing Luo had acknowledged what he said, Pei Xing's apprehensive heart relaxed. Do you have any extra beauty cream? There's still one bottle. That was refined previously to be used for publicity. Pei Xing said, tomorrow I will use the topic of treasure gathering hall to explain the rumors and invite the citizens to the treasure gathering hall. Later I'll go find out that the ugly lady in without embroiling city will come over to test the effect of the beauty cream in public. This was equivalent to holding a press conference in the modern society. Yiqing Luo's lips curled slightly, apparently very satisfied with Pei Xing's suggestion. Seeing Yiqing Luo smile, Pei Xing's tensed body then relaxed as he asked apprehensively, Ah Luo, is it alright if I do this? His cautious look was like a student who was nervous and perturbed in front of the headmaster. Yiqing Luo nodded with a face full of smiles. No problem, let's do this. Pei Xing's tensed face also relaxed. He thought of a way to deal with it. Pei Xing went to handle this matter. Yiqing Luo had no intention to interfere in this matter. After Pei Xing left, sitting by the side, the sloppy old Lai then looked at Yiqing Luo. You had long guessed that Xiao Yulu would use this method to target you? Yiqing Luo raised her brows. You can say so. After all, this was the best solution. As long as it involved the incident from 5 years ago, not only would it make the citizens lose their yearning for the beauty cream, but it would also smear Ju Bao's name and make it unable to raise its head. Judging from your conversation with that kid, you're going to leave without embroiling city after the auction? Old Lai stroked his messy beard. Are you going to look for His Majesty the Sovereign? When Di Zun was mentioned, Old Lai intentionally widened his eyes, staring intently at Yiqing Luo's expression. The last time Yiqing Luo returned from the West Cliff Mountain, for some reason he was in low spirits. He guessed that it might have something to do with Di Zun. Now he was here to test the waters. However, to Old Lai's disappointment. Chapter 36-32. Shadowless City isn't like without embroiling city. Old Lai retracted his gaze and leaned back in his chair. If you go to Shadowless City without me, you might not even be able to enter the city gates. Yiqing Luo raised her brows. Shadowless City is so cruel? Old Lai nodded seriously. You'll know when you get there, I'm absolutely not exaggerating. Yiqing Luo glanced at the serious old Lai and rolled her eyes. Just say it if you want to follow me to Shadowless City. Alright, I want to follow you to Shadowless City. Old Lai continued to put on a serious face. Yiqing Luo? So direct. Then let's go together. In this unfamiliar place with a madman from the Hell Palace by her side, at least she wouldn't provoke any retards who came to make their presence known. She only wanted to go to Shadowless City to see DMO Xian, to confirm his physical condition. She really couldn't be bothered with other retards who came to find trouble. Most importantly, since the leader of the bloody mercenaries mentioned that she had never seen her in the Earth Realm, Yiqing Luo felt that she had to create an identity in the Earth Realm. Otherwise, if someone found out that she wasn't from the Earth Realm, she didn't have the qualification to ascend to the Earth Realm to prove that she was a cultivator from the lower realm. It would be easy for others to suspect her background. The next morning, the news of the press conference held by the Treasure Exchange Hall. Oh no! The Treasure Exchange Hall hosting the citizens of Without Embroiling City to explain the beauty ointment matter spread throughout the streets and alleys of Without Embroiling City. This popularity, compared to the publicity of the beauty ointment by the bloody mercenaries, the popularity created was several times more. Previously, only a bunch of ladies knew about the beauty ointment. But now, after Qiao Yulu's actions, basically, as long as one was in Without Embroiling City, they all knew about the beauty ointment and the Treasure Exchange Hall. The next day, everyone's topic was beauty ointment, Treasure Exchange Hall, etc. Listening to the streets and alleys, from 80 old people to 5-year-old children were discussing these topics. Even those who came to Without Embroiling City to participate in the auction were attracted by this topic. Qiao Yulu stood in the crowd, her face under the black veil was very ugly. She suddenly felt that she had just shot herself in the foot. Why did it seem like it was helping treasure gathering and facial beautifying ointment set off a wave of popularity? Is the beautifying cream really that magical? With just a touch, your skin will become smooth and supple without pimples or spots. I don't think that's possible. Didn't you say that Zhu Bao wanted to use the strategy from 5 years ago to deliberately make the skin beautifying cream look so magical to trick us into bidding at a high price? How can there be such a magical thing in this world? This is definitely just a publicity stunt. Treasure Gathering wants to give an explanation for the skin beautifying ointment. Why are we guessing here? Why don't we go and take a look? Let's go and see how Treasure Gathering Guild is going to explain itself. The citizens swarmed towards the direction of the Treasure Exchange Hall. Among the crowd, Qiao Yulu's face was dark. Her eyes were vicious like a venomous snake. Go. Let's go over and take a look. This empress wants to see how Treasure Gathering can resolve the matter regarding the beautifying ointment. She spat out these words through gritted teeth, her tone extremely cold. At the entrance of the Treasure's trading house. At this moment, the 3 inner and 3 outer layers were filled with people. Chapter 36-33. At the main entrance of the Treasure Exchange Hall, Yiqing Luo specially used bamboo poles to form a square with the Treasure Exchange Hall's entrance as the distance. Within the boundary of the bamboo poles, there was a table and 2 chairs. The citizens stood outside the boundary of the bamboo poles and were not allowed to get close to it. Of course, when this bunch of citizens went crazy, they totally wouldn't care about the bamboo poles or not. So Yiqing Luo specially placed a chair at the corner of the bamboo poles. Lao Lai just sat there like a thorn in his flesh, with old Lai watching. The citizens were obviously more well-behaved. Originally they were still talking about yesterday's rumors, but they were all stuck in their throats. They were afraid that if they angered the Hell Palace's senior, they would be dealt with. The appointed time came. The Treasure Exchange's door opened. Pei Xing walked out from the Treasure Exchange. Following closely behind was Yiqing Luo and Xiao Yinyan. The 3 of them walked to the table and stood still. Pei Xing started to speak. The rough content was that yesterday the blood mercenary group used the beauty cream and felt that it was useful, so they praised it. But when some people heard it, they were afraid that it would affect their own benefits, so they intentionally spread rumors, trying to ruin the beauty cream and Treasure Exchange's reputation. Of course, Pei Xing's words were very tactful. And he didn't clearly mention who the people with intentions was referring to. But the surrounding citizens, from his words, were able to clearly match that people with intentions with Qiao Yulu. Without Embroiling City's mysterious maiden. Of course, everyone was well aware of it. But the other party was after all Without Embroiling City's mysterious maiden, so no one dared to say her name. At this time there would naturally be different voices. For example, there's no smoke without fire, why are you saying it's a rumor? Don't tell me the beauty cream really has such a shocking effect? For example, don't say anything about ruining the Treasure Exchange's reputation. Ever since 5 years ago when the Treasure Exchange cheated its customers, it no longer has any so-called reputation. And so on and so on. After Pei Xing was awakened by Yi Qing Luo last night. Now that he heard these words, his heart more or less calmed down. It wasn't like yesterday, surging with anger, feeling aggrieved and unresigned. Pei Xing was very calm. He waited for everyone to stop asking questions before he said, "No matter what I say, it won't be as real as what everyone saw with their own eyes." He paused and his gaze swept across the citizens. "I invited all of you here today to settle the matter regarding the beautifying cream and to give everyone an explanation. Therefore, Jubao specially took out a bottle of beautifying cream to test the effects of the beautifying cream in public. Try it for free." His last 4 words were enunciated very clearly. The crowd was instantly in an uproar. When Pei Xing received an exquisite wooden box from Yi Qing Luo's hands, everyone quietened down as they stared at Pei Xing's hands. Pei Xing placed the wooden box on the table and slowly opened the lid. Every single one of his movements was deliberately slow, filled with a mysterious aura. When the transparent jade-like medicine bottle was carefully taken out, everyone saw the pink ointment, which seemed to be plated with fluorescent light. The crowd was in an uproar again. "This is the beautifying ointment." Pei Xing held the beautifying ointment in his hand and his voice became solemn. "Gathering Treasures has already submitted the beautifying ointment to the auction, and the base price is 500,000 crystal stones." After the base price was announced, the citizens' expressions were filled with astonishment and disbelief. A bottle of ointment cost 500,000 crystal stones? Chapter 36-34. One must know, such as beauty cream or rouge powder and so on. The quality was slightly better. Some of them had miraculous effects. At most 1,000 crystal stones was the maximum. Treasure Gathering actually opened 500,000 crystal stones? Who would go to bid for this? Only an idiot would bid for it. So in order to let everyone witness the effect of the beauty ointment, whether it's real or fake, and whether it has such a miraculous effect, it's equivalent to Treasure Gathering using 500,000 crystal stones to prove its name. Pei Xing seemed as though he didn't hear what the citizens were discussing. As though he didn't see the citizens' astonished and ridiculing expressions. He continued talking on his own. His tone was filled with pride. As though he had really taken out 500,000 crystal stones to prove Treasure Gathering's name. The citizens looked as though they were looking at an idiot. What 500,000 crystal stones? That's only worth 500,000 crystal stones if someone is willing to bid for it, all right. Yi Qing Luo saw that the atmosphere was just right. The citizens were all doubting Pei Xing's words. Yi Qing Luo coughed lightly as she smiled lightly. "Let's not talk too much, directly use actions to prove the effect of the beauty ointment. Now, may eldest young Master Qiao please invite our first test customer." When Xiao Yinyan heard that, he turned around and walked into Treasure Gathering. Not long later, he supported a petite figure who was covered in a cloak as he walked over. Xiao Yinyan helped the lady to sit on the chair. Yi Qing Luo walked to the lady's side as her slender fingers, placed on the edge of the cloak as she spoke with a smile, in order to prevent others from saying that these test customers are intentionally bribed by us Treasure Gathering, intentionally faking it. So, the guests we invite are those whom everyone has more or less heard of and know of. Her words fell. Yi Qing Luo suddenly lifted the black cloak which was covering the lady's face. Everyone's gazes congealed on the lady's face. When they saw the lady's face which was filled with scars, pitted and terrifying, they couldn't help but drew in a breath of cold air. Her face was filled with scars, and there wasn't a single part which was unscathed. The lady was stared at by everyone's eyes. She had been used to feeling inferior for a long time, and at this moment her face was burning as she couldn't sit still. Yi Qing Luo didn't want the lady to expose her shortcomings. When she found this lady, the woman already knew that she would be the target of everyone's gazes. That face of hers couldn't be any worse than that. He wanted to restore his appearance and change his face. The woman gritted her teeth and agreed to Pei Xing's request. He openly exposed his face in front of everyone's eyes. This young lady is the daughter of old Tofu Lu from the neighboring street. Due to an accident when she was young, her face was burned. Yi Qing Luo introduced, "I believe the neighbors on the neighboring street should be very familiar with this young lady." It wasn't just the neighbors who knew each other. Many citizens of Without Embroiling City knew that old Lu's tofu family's daughter had her face burned. Due to the disfigurement of his face, he was already 19 years old this year and had yet to be betrothed. She was an old lady who basically couldn't get married. He was sure that this woman was not lying. Pei Xing opened the bottle cap of the beautifying ointment and said to the woman, "Open your palm." The woman obeyed and opened her hands. Pei Xing carefully poured out a small ball of pink ointment and smeared it on the woman's palm. "Now apply this ointment to your face." The woman looked at the ointment in her hand. It smelled very fresh and not pungent. She slowly smeared the ointment on her palm on her face. It was just a small ball. Chapter 36-35. When the lady stopped moving, leaned against the chair and closed her eyes, Yiqing Luo asked with a smile, "How do you feel now?" The lady remained silent for a moment, very cold and a little itchy. "Can you resist not scratching?" Yiqing Luo continued to ask. "Yes." The lady took a deep breath, her nails clenched into a ball. "As long as my face is like a normal person, I can bear it." "It's alright, hold on until your face is itchy, or when you can't stand the cold you can tell me." Yiqing Luo comforted her gently. The lady replied with an N. Everyone's attention was focused on the lady's face. The lady sat stiffly on the chair, eyes closed, her body tensed up. After applying the beauty cream there was no change at all. About the time it took to burn a stick of incense had passed. The citizens' patience was exhausted. Especially the lady's burnt and pitted face, there was no change at all. Suddenly they felt that they had been played. As time went by, the dissatisfied discussions among the citizens grew louder. Some even said that the treasure gathering was lying. If it wasn't for old Lai, that big Buddha, sitting there sloppily, some of the ill-tempered citizens would have directly overturned the tables and chairs. However, no matter how the surrounding citizens discussed and ridiculed, Yiqing Luo and the rest were all calm, their gazes fixed on the lady's face. Yiqing Luo would occasionally ask the lady how she felt. Just as some citizens' legs were aching from standing and didn't want to waste any more time, among the crowd, a voice suddenly rang, "Lu Tofu's daughter, her body keeps trembling. Is she going to kill someone?" This was like a stone that stirred up 1,000 ripples. The impatient mood of the citizens was immediately affected by the gossiping. "What? Human life? Right, look. That lady's body keeps trembling, it's obviously not normal. Gathering treasures, hurry up and wipe off the stuff on her face. You're asking for her life." Sure enough, we can't have any hopes for the treasure gathering. Everything is fake. They only know how to lie to their customers. And now they're trying to kill someone. Go report to the authorities. We must not let these unscrupulous businessmen taint our Without Embroiling City. After one person took the lead, all the rhythm was brought over by those words. For a moment, more than half of the thousands of people surrounding them were clamoring to report the incident to the authorities. No matter how much Pei Xing's mentality had changed, he still couldn't help it. Faced with such a situation, he was more or less panicking. Yiqing Luo glanced sideways at Pei Xing, indicating him not to worry. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he glanced in the direction of the rhythm of talking about human lives. Coincidentally, he saw Qiao Yulu, who was wearing a white veil and a black veil over her face. Yiqing Luo raised her brows. As expected, Qiao Yulu came as well. Those words must have come from Qiao Yulu's bodyguard, right? The corners of her mouth lifted slightly. He was afraid that Qiao Yulu would be disappointed again. Yiqing Luo's expression didn't change in the slightest when she was facing everyone's accusations. She leaned over and whispered in the woman's ear, "Is it too cold and itchy? You can't stand it anymore?" The woman's voice trembled as she said, If I hold on a little longer, will I be able to recover better?" Chapter 36-36. Yiqing Luo paused and continued, "Although the longer you use the beauty cream, the better it will be for your face. But if you force yourself to endure it, there will be some effects." The lady's hand clenched tightly. She had been restraining herself from scratching her face. She remained silent for a while. Probably because she heard Yiqing Luo's words. Or probably because she couldn't hold it in any longer. She said in a trembling voice, I can't take it anymore." Yiqing Luo held the lady's hand and looked sideways at Qiao Yinyan. "Please help me get a basin of water. In order to avoid getting into trouble." Yiqing Luo specially asked Pei Xing to bring a basin of water by the side. Qiao Yinyan took the basin and scooped a basin of water over. Yiqing Luo supported the lady and touched the basin. "Now wash your face with water." The lady obeyed and bent over to wash her face. While washing, the lady's body started to tremble even more. The crowd, who had stopped the clamoring and discussion because of the lady washing her face, started to clamor again, that the lady's life was in danger and so on. The lady washed her face and slowly raised her head from the basin. Her wet hair stuck to both her cheeks. The lady covered her face with both her hands, her fingers trembling slightly. Seeing the lady raise her head, those clamoring people quietened down and stared straight at the lady's face. Yiqing Luo's lips curled, her long and narrow eyes gave a faint arc. "Take your hand down, let everyone see your face." The lady's trembling hands moved away from her face bit by bit. At that moment, the surrounding people burst into an uproar. Her face. Heavens! How is this possible? How did her face really recover? Is this really the same person as the ugly girl just now? I don't believe it. The citizens were astonished. One by one they widened their eyes, looking at the lady's face in disbelief. The lady stood in front of the table and chair. There was still water on her face, slowly sliding down. Her face, which was originally full of scars, was filled with scars. At this moment she had completely recovered the face that a lady should have. Her facial features were regular, her skin fair and delicate. Although there were still some faint scars on her face. But those were not too obvious. In short, after the potholes of rotten flesh on his face were removed, he turned around. The woman became much more beautiful and charming. The citizens couldn't believe their eyes. Especially, they had witnessed with their own eyes, the woman with such a terrifying face had regained her smooth and tender skin. He had personally witnessed the process of an ugly girl becoming a beauty. Yiqing Luo placed the bronze mirror in the lady's hands as she smiled and looked towards the crowd. "I know that you must have some suspicions in your hearts. How about this? I'll find 2 people as representatives to check if this young lady's face is real or fake." Everyone immediately expressed their desire to be a representative. They all wanted to see for themselves whether this magical cream was real or not. Yiqing Luo rubbed her chin and said, "I can't just randomly find one, otherwise if you insist that you're the one who hired the treasure house, then it won't be clear." Her gaze swept across the crowd. Suddenly, her slender white hand pointed in a certain direction. "Why don't I trouble the Empyrean fairy to help me examine it?" The direction which Yiqing Luo was pointing at was exactly the direction where Qiao Yulu was standing. Everyone looked towards the direction that Yiqing Luo was pointing at. When he saw Qiao Yulu. Chapter 36-37. Qiao Yulu's eyes were gloomy like a sharp blade as she stared coldly at Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo didn't seem to notice her steely expression as she smiled even more brilliantly. "Mysterious maiden, what do you think?" The hearts of the onlookers were thumping non-stop. They were very clear. The grudge between Bao and Princess Yulu. And they were very clear about the bet regarding the auction. Especially when the citizens were well aware of it. Yesterday's gossip was related to Princess Yulu. Now, Di Luo directly asked Princess Yulu to check on that lady's face, to see if it was real or fake, to check the authenticity of the beauty ointment. This meant that Di Luo had full confidence in the facial beauty ointment. As long as Princess Yulu confirmed that the lady's face had really recovered to normal skin. The efficacy of the beauty ointment was absolutely not fake. Under the hopeful gazes of the citizens, Qiao Yulu clenched her fists tightly as she walked out slowly under the escort of her guards. She raised her head slightly with an arrogant look as her voice was slightly cold. "How do you want me to check?" Yiqing Luo smiled as she shook her head. "Mysterious maiden, don't be anxious, we still need to find another one." Her gaze took a look at the crowd. She walked directly towards the front of the crowd, towards a plain-looking man who was about 40 years old. "Uncle Lu, can I trouble you to personally check on your daughter's face?" The citizens recognized him. That plain-looking man was old Tofu Lu, who sold tofu on the neighboring street. Old Tofu Lu's eyes stared intently at his daughter's face as his eyes were filled with agitation. Under Yiqing Luo's support, he trembled as he walked to the front of the lady. Old Tofu Lu first touched the lady's face. His action was obviously very light and careful, as though he was testing. He was afraid that if he was not careful, he would ruin his daughter's face, which had finally recovered. Under Yiqing Luo's guidance, old Tofu Lu's strength increased slightly. In the end, he confirmed that his daughter's face had indeed recovered to normal. Even the ordinary pinching and rubbing had the feeling of normal skin. Old Tofu Lu was so agitated that tears fell down on the spot, looking at the father and daughter pair crying together. Everyone's hearts had more or less believed in the beauty ointment's efficacy. Yiqing Luo smiled as she looked at Xiao Yulu. Mysterious maiden can also touch Miss Lu's face personally. Xiao Yulu's face darkened. She was the one who had personally used the facial cream. The beauty cream could even restore her face, which had already been corroded. Not to mention an ordinary burn. Di Luo had purposely asked her to come out at this time to check if it was real. It was obvious that he was deliberately making things difficult for her. Xiao Yulu's eyes sunk coldly as she gritted her teeth and stared at Yiqing Luo. You clearly said yesterday that there's only 10 bottles of beauty cream left. Yiqing Luo blinked her eyes as she gave an innocent smile. That's right, there were indeed only 10 bottles yesterday. But yesterday's rumors and slanders had a huge impact on our treasure gathering, so I can only try my best to refine another bottle of beauty ointment to clear up our treasure gathering's name. She paused for a moment and her long and narrow eyes curved, revealing a hint of mischief. After all, this is the cream that even the Empyrean fairy wants. If I were to be influenced by the gossip, wouldn't that be mocking the taste of the Empyrean fairy? You. Are you fooling me? Xiao Yulu was so infuriated by Yiqing Luo's words that she almost threw up blood. Her entire body's muscles tightened into a ball as her gaze turned icy cold. Leave the rest of that bottle of beauty cream to me. I will testify on behalf of that ugly woman. Chapter 36-38. Xiao Yulu's eyes turned cold. Yiqing Luo continued to smile. The beauty cream's effect cannot be faked. If you really want to use your mysterious maiden's reputation and treasure-gathering bar, I have no objections. As she spoke, she put the beautifying cream away in front of Xiao Yulu's eager gaze. Of course, if the mystic fairy has made up her mind not to bid for the beautifying cream at the auction, I wouldn't mind the mystic fairy and the treasure-gathering alliance fighting. Yiqing Luo's words had completely blocked Xiao Yulu's way out. How could Xiao Yulu not want the beauty cream? Her face was totally different from Old Man Lu's tofu daughter's scalded wounds. Ordinary wounds could be recovered after using it once or twice. But her face had been corroded by the Array Spirit's evil chi. If she wanted her face to recover completely, at least she had to use another bottle or two of beauty cream. Xiao Yulu was very clear about this. In front of Di Luo, she probably had no advantage at all. Di Luo dared to let the treasure-gathering bar test the beauty cream's effect in public. She must have done all the preparations. If she intentionally slandered her, the beauty cream was fake and that young lady's face was fake. Di Luo would definitely use other ways to prove it. As for her, mysterious maiden, she might even cause the citizens to lose confidence in her because of this. Most importantly, she was going to bid for the beauty cream in tomorrow's auction. Wouldn't that be slapping her own face? Various thoughts flashed past Xiao Yulu's mind. She couldn't help but clenched her fists. Slut. She was obviously determined to get the beauty cream no matter what. She intentionally schemed and forced her. However, for her own face, Xiao Yulu had no choice but to compromise. Suddenly, she heard a young lady pretending to be surprised. Xiao Yulu frowned as she stared at the young lady. But she saw the young lady's burning gaze staring at her face with one hand propping up her chin. Her long and narrow eyes were smiling in surprise. Even though the young lady was wearing a white veil, Xiao Yulu could see the young lady's pink lips under the veil, curling into a ridiculing smile. Xiao Yulu's heart trembled. The young lady's following words were definitely not something nice. Just as he was about to open his mouth and stop talking to Yiqing Luo. However, the young girl was the first to speak. That's strange. The beautifying cream I left for Mystic Fairy that day should be enough for you to use until the auction. Why did you come to the gathering of treasures yesterday and ask me for the beautifying cream? Yiqing Luo's voice wasn't loud, but it was not small either. At the very least, the people at the front could hear it clearly. Immediately, the hearts of the citizens began to become active. Most people had heard that Princess Yulu had personally gone to treasure gathering to ask for the beautifying cream. But later there were rumors that Princess Yulu went to Treasure Gathering Hall because Treasure Gathering Hall wanted to deceive its customers again. She wanted to persuade Treasure Gathering Hall to hand over the beautifying ointment so as to avoid harming others and herself. However, from Di Luo's words, it seemed like the truth wasn't like this. Did Princess Yulu use beauty cream before? And he even asked Di Luo for some beauty cream? Listening to the discussions of the citizens, Yi Zichen's eyes lit up. Xiao Yulu's face under the veil was so dark that it was scary. Her venomous gaze stared coldly at Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo remained unmoved as she blinked her eyes and looked at the maidservant Kai Dai, who shrunk her head and legs as she stood beside Xiao Yulu. A sliver of understanding flashed past her eyes. She leaned forward slightly and got close to Xiao Yulu's ear as she laughed softly. Surely Mystic Fairy didn't intentionally destroy Kai Dai's face to test if the beautifying cream is effective, using her face to test the beautifying cream, right? As her words fell, Yi Zichen's expression changed. Chapter 36-39. Yiqing Luo's brows rose. Looked like she had guessed correctly. No wonder she felt something was amiss the minute she saw Kai Dai. Kai Dai's face had an obvious scar as she curled up beside Xiao Yulu, without the fox exploiting the tiger's might earlier. Xiao Yulu was indeed quite ruthless. Towards her personal maid who had taken care of her for so many years, she could be so ruthless. Yiqing Luo clicked her tongue as she gave a helpless sigh. A bottle of beauty ointment was originally meant for you alone? Sigh, what a pity. Hearing Yiqing Luo's ambiguous tone, Xiao Yulu's heart felt as though something was exploding in her chest. Her gaze turned increasingly vicious, like a sharp blade, as though she wanted to dismember Yiqing Luo into 1,000 pieces. However, Yiqing Luo's expression didn't change at all. Instead, she met her vengeful gaze. As though the angrier she got, the angrier she got. Yiqing Luo's smile became even more radiant and joyous. A face which is corroded by the demonic qi is not something that can be solved by a bottle of beauty ointment. It needs to be used continuously for at least 3 days and cannot be interrupted. Yiqing Luo tilted her head as she pretended to speak carelessly. Originally, that bottle of beauty ointment was enough for you to use for 3 days. Alas, you don't believe me. She shrugged her shoulders as she gave a helpless sigh. Not using it for 3 days and interrupting the beauty ointment midway, your face is even more troublesome. If I didn't guess wrongly, the skin on your face is starting to fester again, right? Xiao Yulu's pupils constricted. Yiqing Luo, who noticed the small details, her pink lips curled into a deep smile. I am mysterious maiden, what should you do? Is your face more important or is it more important? This is really a difficult choice. Xiao Yulu was so infuriated that she wanted to vomit blood. How would she not understand the meaning behind Yiqing Luo's words? Di Luo, don't be complacent too early. She gritted her teeth as she spat out these few words, flicked her sleeves and turned around to leave. The group of guards behind him immediately followed suit. Yiqing Luo waved towards the direction where Xiao Yulu left. Mysterious maiden, remember to come to tomorrow's auction, I'll be waiting for your good news. Xiao Yulu almost staggered. When Xiao Yulu's figure completely disappeared on both sides of the street. Only then did the citizens dare to speak. Why did Princess Yulu leave without saying anything? Aren't you going to check the face of old Lu's Tofu's daughter? What does Princess Yulu mean by this? The conversation between Xiao Yulu and Yiqing Luo. Other than those words which Yiqing Luo intentionally let the surrounding citizens hear. As for the other words, Yiqing Luo intentionally suppressed her voice. Xiao Yulu left angrily. Everyone was curious. What did Di Luo say to make Princess Yulu leave in anger? Yiqing Luo shrugged her shoulders as she spread out her hands. I'm not sure about Mysterious Maiden's thoughts. Maybe it's because she wants to buy the beauty ointment at a high price, and besides the 10 bottles of beauty ointment that Treasure Gathering brought to the auction, there are no other beauty ointment, so Mystic Fairy is angry. Everyone looked at each other in dismay, as though they were contemplating whether Yiqing Luo's words were true or false. However, what caught most people's attention was, there were only 10 bottles of beautifying cream left. 10 bottles? It was a cream that could turn an ugly woman into a beautiful woman. How could only 10 bottles be enough? Based on Princess Yulu's character, if the beauty ointment was fake, she would have exposed Treasure Gathering in public. How could she possibly leave without saying anything? Chapter 36-40. Everyone in Without Embroiling City knew. The day Princess Yulu returned to Without Embroiling City, she started a feud with a woman called Di Luo. The two of them even made a life and death bet because of the treasure gathering exchange. Moreover, there was the matter of treasure gathering being smeared by a series of rumors and slanders yesterday. It was obviously Princess Yulu's doing. If the beauty ointment was fake. If the father-daughter duo colluded with the treasure gathering exchange to put on a show. Princess Yulu would definitely take this opportunity to make things difficult for them. So, the beauty ointment of the treasure gathering exchange was definitely authentic. Especially when Princess Yulu personally asked for the beauty ointment, it was definitely true. As a result, the citizens were looking forward to the beauty ointment even more. There were even people who booked future beauty ointment with the treasure gathering exchange. The rumors that smeared the treasure-gathering exchange seemed to be unable to extinguish the citizens' yearning for the beauty ointment. When Xiao Yulu heard the news about the beauty ointment, she was so angry that she vomited blood on the spot. She was so angry that she vomited blood. She originally wanted to use the rumors to smear the treasure-gathering exchange and make Di Luo's plan fail. But unexpectedly, she spent a lot of manpower, material resources and financial resources to smear the treasure-gathering exchange. Instead, it helped the treasure-gathering exchange. Instead, it made the beauty ointment even more legendary. In addition, she humbly asked the leader of the bloody mercenaries, Su Qingbing, to personally come forward and accuse the treasure-gathering exchange of using Bloody's fame for its own benefit, and that the beauty ointment was fake. But Su Qingbing did not take her, the mysterious lady, seriously at all. She directly rejected her proposal. Unfortunately, she was just a mysterious lady who had just become without embroiling city. She had no way to order or threaten Bloody. She could only return in disappointment. He didn't expect that, just after she left the treasure-gathering exchange, the leader of the bloody mercenaries, Su Qingbing, personally led the mercenaries to the entrance of the treasure-gathering exchange. She personally admitted the effect of the beauty ointment. This was a clear slap in her face. It could be said that after the series of things that happened today, the beauty ointment's value would increase by several times. The value of the beauty ointment would increase by several times. Xiao Yulu really vomited blood. If this continued, it was very likely that treasure-gathering auction would win the honor of the best auction house. She must think of a way to let Zhongqing Exchange's limelight surpass that of treasure-gathering before the auction tomorrow. But these thoughts, Xiao Yulu didn't have time to implement it. The reason for that was because the Qiao family's master just so happened to see him vomiting blood. Therefore, family head Qiao was worried and depressed, and wanted to invite a doctor to take a look at Xiao Yulu. Xiao Yulu was impatient and wanted to go to the Zhongqing trading firm. How could Patriarch Qiao be at ease? This pull and pull. The black veil on Xiao Yulu's face was torn off. Under the veil, half of her festering face was a ghastly sight. This also shocked Qiao family head. Yi Qing Luo had heard these things from Qiao Yinyan's mouth. It was said that Xiao Yulu's disfigured smile had spread throughout the entire Qiao residence. Xiao Yulu was forced to stay in the room to rest. Many doctors surrounded Xiao Yulu's room and studied her face. Chapter 3641. Qiao Yinyan nodded. Yi Qing Luo smiled lightly. Even if Master Qiao doesn't make a move, she will definitely bid for it. The reason for that was because no woman would be able to tolerate any problems with her face. Especially for a lady like Qiao Yulu who valued looks the most. Even if Qiao Yulu wasn't willing to lose the bet. She wasn't willing to let Yi Qing Luo be complacent. Qiao Yulu would definitely bid for the beautifying cream. But Yi Qing Luo's expression suddenly turned grave. She shouldn't compromise so easily. Even if she has no time to deal with the treasure gathering, she should put her thoughts on the Zhongqing Exchange Hall. She paused and suddenly raised her head. I suggest that you guard the door of her room tonight. Qiao Yinyan was stunned and immediately understood something as his expression congealed. What you mean is, there's a possibility that she will contact that group of people who set up the soul-devouring array. Those people's target might be me. If Mysterious Maiden wants to target me, those people will naturally make use of Mysterious Maiden to deal with me. Yi Qing Luo pursed her lips. If those people help Mysterious Maiden, not to mention whether Mysterious Maiden can win the bet with me, the most important thing is, it will definitely affect the Qiao family. Yi Qing Luo didn't wish for the Qiao family to be implicated because of Qiao Yulu's mistake. Qiao Yinyan's expression turned grave. Only dare to hide in the dark and use a borrowed knife to kill a rat, dare to make use of our Qiao family. I will explain this matter to father and send more people to watch over Princess Yulu, to prevent Palace Mistress Yulu from contacting those people. Yi Qing Luo curled her lips at him. You don't have to be too nervous, perhaps I'm thinking too much. Just in case, we still need to pay attention. To be able to create a sinister array with a formation core spirit in the West Cliff Mountain, the other party's ability was definitely not weak. But why didn't they dare to show themselves? Instead they used this method to hide in the dark and pay attention to them. This made one have no choice but to guard against them. Qiao Yinyan stood up with a heavy expression as he prepared to leave the treasure-gathering exchange hall. Looking at Qiao Yinyan's back view, Yi Qing Luo's eyelashes fluttered as she suddenly said, Yinyan, it seems? You've never asked why. Qiao Yinyan stopped in his tracks. After a moment of silence he turned around. Yiqing Luo met his gaze and spoke out softly, "You should be able to guess that those people's identities and abilities aren't weak. Aren't you curious why they would target me when I'm just an ordinary person?" It seemed like ever since she met Xiao Yinyan, no matter what happened to her, Xiao Yinyan was not curious even once. If it was her, she would definitely be suspicious. It was just like, after she saw that Pei Xing was not affected by the soul-devouring array, she had some speculations about Pei Xing. However, Xiao Yinyan had never been surprised by what had happened to her. A warm smile slowly appeared on Xiao Yinyan's handsome face. It made her elegant face look even more ethereal. His thin lips moved and he said word by word with a smile, "When you are willing to speak, I will listen. In short, I believe you." Yiqing Luo was stunned. Xiao Yinyan had an inexplicable good impression of her. And a few times of unconditional help. She really couldn't understand Xiao Yinyan's feelings for her. She said that Xiao Yinyan liked her. But to tell the truth, she really didn't feel that Xiao Yinyan liked her. If she said that he didn't. Chapter 3642. Yiqing Luo sighed. "You can't guess a man's thoughts. No matter how you guessed, you wouldn't be able to guess. Then we'll talk about it when I feel like it." Yiqing Luo waved her hand weakly at him. "Go keep an eye on your sister. I'll go take a look at Zishi's situation. Forget it, it's better not to ask." If she continued asking, perhaps Xiao Yinyan would flirt with her again. She couldn't possibly ask directly, "Hey, do you like me?" "Don't like me, I have a fiancé?" She really said that. When they meet again, wouldn't it be awkward to death? Most importantly, she wasn't sure. Was Xiao Yinyan's feeling towards her the kind of love between a man and a woman? Xiao Yinyan returned to the Qiao residence and explained to Patriarch Qiao about the black-robed men. Patriarch Qiao was extremely shocked, but he believed that his son wouldn't lie. So he secretly sent the secret guards to guard Xiao Yulu's door tightly. Nothing happened that night. Only the Qiao family didn't know. Xiao Yulu was in a flustered and exasperated state, using a pen to poke the paper which was filled with Di Luo's name, cursing Di Luo venomously. When a light breeze blew past, her eyes suddenly turned blurry and she laid sprawled on the table, unconscious. From the secret guard's point of view, Xiao Yulu seemed to be tired of cursing and laid on the table to rest. The current Xiao Yulu's consciousness had fallen into a temporary darkness. When it was bright again, that red-robed young lady with a white veil appeared in front of her, smiling sweetly as she looked at her with ridicule. That young lady was like a high and mighty queen, looking down on everything. His mouth continued to say humiliating words to her. Xiao Yulu stared at the young lady in front of her as her pupils contracted. Indescribable hatred and anger filled her chest. Finally, under the young lady's contemptuous smile, Xiao Yulu let out an angry howl. Her fists clenched tightly as she punched towards the young lady's face. Bam! The young lady was punched onto the ground. However, that radiant and enchanting face was still sneering at him. Xiao Yulu's eyes were bloodshot as she pounced forward, beating and tearing the young lady. Once and again. Again and again. It wasn't until the young girl's body was completely unrecognizable that she stopped, panting heavily. "Did you vent your anger?" Suddenly, an ethereal voice sounded in the surroundings. It was as if it was ringing in his ears. Xiao Yulu straightened her back in shock and quickly looked around. "If you think that's the best way to vent your anger, I can help you make the real Imperial Fall look like this." That voice seemed to be filled with bewitchment. "Who are you? Who is it?" Xiao Yulu looked around cautiously. The Empyrean fairy is really forgetful. Didn't we just cooperate a few days ago? The voice laughed in a low voice. Xiao Yulu's eyes narrowed as rage filled her face. "It's you guys? The ones who created the soul-devouring array. How dare you appear in front of this empress?" She stood up angrily, her eyes burning with anger. Because of that so-called formation, her face had almost been swallowed by the formation, causing her to be disfigured. This group of people had deceived her. They said that she would help to lure Imperial Fall to West Cliff Mountain so that she would have the chance to kill Yiqing Luo personally. She had not expected that she almost became the array's food. This group of people totally didn't want to help her sincerely. Chapter 3643. In the face of Xiao Yulu's anger, the voice chuckled in a low voice. The laughter was sinister and cold. Xiao Yulu was so infuriated that her chest heaved up and down as her eyes turned red. "What are you laughing at? Why must mysterious maiden be angry? Haven't we agreed right from the start that we are only making a deal? That voice said calmly, I'll help you lure that woman into the West Cliff Mountain. Whether you can kill her or not will depend on your own ability. That voice paused for a moment as its tone was filled with ridicule and ridicule. Your ability is not up to par, don't tell me you blame us? Xiao Yulu's face flushed red as she gritted her teeth and roared, You're obviously the one who lied to me. Didn't you tell me that that's the soul-devouring array? If it wasn't for the fact that I have the protective talisman which Ling Long Palace Lord had passed to me, I would have died in that array. Her face, which was as beautiful as a flower and as beautiful as a fairy, would not have turned into such a state. She wouldn't lower herself to get the beauty cream from Yiqing Luo's hands. All of this was because of this group of people. They actually dared to appear. And even wanted to make use of her. That voice laughed sinisterly, Oh? Really? Even if we tell you that's the soul-devouring array, will you really give up the only chance to kill that woman personally and not step into the soul-devouring array? Not waiting for Xiao Yulu to reply. That voice continued to laugh. No, you will. Xiao Yulu's mouth moved, but ultimately she couldn't say any words of rebuttal. Yes, she would. Even if she knew it was the soul-devouring array, she would still enter the array. So what's the point of saying it or not? Anyway, it won't affect your decision, right? The voice chuckled again. Xiao Yulu's brows creased tightly as she felt that something was amiss. But she felt that what that voice said seemed to make sense. Not waiting for Xiao Yulu to think carefully, that voice rang again. I have a deal here, do you want to do it? Xiao Yulu pursed her lips as she hesitantly scanned the surroundings. It was a patch of gray and she couldn't sense any other signs of life. But that voice seemed as though it was right beside her ears. She pondered for a moment as if she was thinking about the other party's purpose. The other party didn't rush him either. After a long silence she slowly said, What deal? The voice laughed. I have an item here that will definitely fetch the highest price in the auction. It can help you suppress the treasures gathering exchange hall and win the bet with that woman. Xiao Yulu's eyes lit up. What is it? As long as you agree, that thing will appear in the auction in the name of Zhong Qing Trading Firm tomorrow morning. The voice didn't intend to answer Xiao Yulu's question. Xiao Yulu furrowed her brows. How can I believe you? You can only choose to believe. The voice lowered its voice and revealed a trace of bewitching intent. Could it be that, you don't want the treasure gathering to fail and you don't want that woman to crawl beneath your feet? Just like that. A voice sounded in the direction of the voice. Xiao Yulu subconsciously looked in the direction of the young girl whom she had just beaten up. The girl in red fell to the ground, battered and battered. Xiao Yulu's eyes narrowed as a blazing flame spread in her eyes. Fine. I can believe you guys one more time. Then, what do you want me to do? Chapter 3644. The next day. The auction. All the citizens of the main cities had rushed over to participate in the annual Without Embroiling Cities auction. The entire Without Embroiling City was bustling with activity. Especially the citizens of Without Embroiling City, they were in high spirits. There were even people who set up bets on who would win the bet, Princess Yu Lu or Miss Di Luo. Yiqing Luo and the rest handed over their invitation and entered the auction. That was even more shocking. The scene of the auction could no longer be described as explosive. The auction in the land domain was an extremely important event. It was an annual event. It was a gathering of all the auction houses in the entire Earth realm to participate in this event. The participating auction houses would be ranked according to the amount of crystal stones they bid on the spot. For 5 consecutive years, the auction house with the lowest number of bids would have its marketing rights revoked. This was the reason why the 3 main cities' mysterious fairies left the Linglong Hall and returned to the main cities. Most importantly, the annual auction was not exclusive to Without Embroiling City. It was for the 3 main cities to compete for the right to host the auction. This was similar to the Olympic Games. Which country would it be held in? It was extremely significant. This year, Without Embroiling City had won the right to host the auction. This made City Lord Lu extremely excited. The auction would be held in the main city of Without Embroiling City, at the venue. Without Embroiling City was the largest venue in Without Embroiling City. It was used to receive outsiders and VIPs from the upper realm. After Yiqing Luo walked into Without Embroiling City, she estimated that it could accommodate at least 30,000 people. This venue was divided into 2 floors. The first floor was the reception hall. There were many benches placed there and all of them were already full. There were a lot of people standing in the surrounding aisles. It completely explained the true meaning of a sea of people. On the second floor there were boxes one after another. After one round there were at least 1 to 200 private rooms. These were used to receive VIPs and representatives of the top 50 auction houses. Since 5 years ago, after that incident at the Treasure Exchange, Pei Xing had never been to the second floor. But this time, perhaps it was because of Yi Qing Luo and Xiao Yulu's bet. Or perhaps it was because Old Lai was by her side. City Lord Lu arranged a private room on the second floor for the Treasure Exchange. Moreover, the location was not bad. Yi Qing Luo expressed that this was absolutely in order to please Old Lai, in order to have a relationship with the Hell Palace, so she specially arranged it. After entering the private room, Pei Xing was obviously somewhat restrained. His body was tense and his face was tense. Her eyes were slightly red. Yi Qing Luo understood Pei Xing's feelings very well. For Pei Xing, the Treasures Exchange Hall was what kept him going. It had always been his dream. They stepped onto the second floor. This was equivalent to the acknowledgement of his treasure gathering exchange hall. Moreover, today was the day that the future of the Treasures Exchange House would be decided. In his heart he was both excited and nervous. They sat in the private room and looked at the sea of people on the first floor. Pei Xing was so nervous that his palms were sweating. "Ah Luo, how many people do you think are here for the beauty cream? Men pursue strength and strength while women pursue beauty above strength. Don't underestimate a woman's obsession with beauty." Yi Qing Luo smiled at him. "Relax, don't be too nervous." Pei Xing nodded vigorously, clenched his fists and took a deep breath. He wanted to calm down. Chapter 36-45. The more he tried to calm down, the more anxious he felt. There was a trace of embarrassment on Pei Xing's handsome face. I'm going out for a walk. I'll be back soon." Looking at the embarrassed look in the man's eyes, Yi Qing Luo knew that too. This kid was probably so nervous that he wanted to go to the toilet. However, the door of the private room was just closed. Yi Qing Luo heard an extremely sharp and unkind voice coming from outside the door. "Yon, isn't this Boss Pei?" Then a few mocking laughs rang out. Judging from the laughter, there were about 4 people. Yi Qing Luo raised her brows. From his tone, it was obvious that he was here to cause trouble. She waved her sleeve. A surge of profound energy slightly opened and closed the door. Yi Qing Luo saw Pei Xing standing at the entrance, and in front of him were 4 wealthy-looking young men dressed in brocade robes. Pei Xing didn't want to bother with him. He turned around and was about to return to the private room. However, one of them reached out and stopped Pei Xing. He smiled and said, "Boss Pei, don't be in such a hurry to leave. We haven't seen each other for a long time. Aren't you going to greet an old friend?" The other 3 immediately surrounded Pei Xing. Trapped in the middle, Pei Xing lowered his head and tensed up. "I have nothing to say to you." "Yo, Boss Pei, you sure talk big." The man clicked his tongue and laughed. "I heard that treasure gathering house has climbed up the ladder and is preparing to win the honor of the best auction house in this auction. Is that why you're so proud of yourself?" Even though the man was praising Pei Xing, however, it was obvious that they were mocking him. Pei Xing's eyes were filled with anger. He struggled to break free from the man's hand and glared at him. "What happens to the treasure gathering has nothing to do with you. How could it have nothing to do with me? After all, we used to be brothers." The man winked and smiled as he hooked his arm around Pei Xing's shoulder. Pei Xing was so angry that his eyes turned red. He grabbed the man's hand and shook it off. "Don't touch me. I don't know someone like you. Don't insult the word brother." The man who was flung away did not get angry. The other 3 men looked at each other and burst into laughter. Pei Xing's face was filled with anger. However, he also knew that the auction was just around the corner, and he couldn't allow anything to go wrong at this moment. He suppressed his anger and looked at the person in front of him. "Get out of the way." The man who was pushed away came forward with a cheeky smile. "TSK, after 5 years, Boss Pei can finally come to the second floor of the auction again. Is it because City Lord Lu feels that after today the signboard of the Treasures Trading House will be taken down, and he feels pity for you, so he is giving you one last chance to sit in the box on the second floor?" Young Master Wang's words? That's true. How can a trashy auction house like Treasure Gathering be qualified to sit in our private room on the second floor? Isn't that lowering the status of our second floor? Right. We're all auction houses that are ranked in the top 50. The owner of a trashy auction house wants to sit with us? Is he looking down on us? Let's ask City Lord Lu what this means. When the men heard this, they cooperated and sang together. He even looked at Pei Sheng with disdain. What right does a person like you have to stand here? Do you still want to learn from your father's trick from 5 years ago? Fooling all the guests like fools? You don't want to learn anything, but you have to learn from your father, that liar. The 3 men kept humiliating him with words. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.